Han Sen was planning on stepping out to reveal himself. When Berry Path God and Ancient Devil appeared, he hastily shelved the idea. Berry Path God and Ancient Devil had agreed to claim the gene seed and give it to Bauer. Deep inside, what they were really thinking was something only they knew. If Han Sen went out now, and they thought he had the gene seed, it was difficult to gauge what might happen. My poor Bauer. She does not even get to see her birth mother.
Han Sen sighed.
He remained waiting and hiding, watching what was going on outside the hole. Han Sen did not know what items the God Chaos Party leader had left behind. He did not know what any of them were for. Judging from the faces of Berry Path God and Ancient Devil, he knew they had to be something special. Aside from the free items they took away, there were at least 100 items left to take in the hidden hall. For as long as just a few of them were worth something, they were enough to attract people to commit crimes for them. When a sword was drawn and a bowstring pulled, Ancient Devil looked outside the hall. "Ancient Devil, where are you going?" Big Sky Demon asked. Ancient Devil said, "Mr. Leader gave me what I deserved. She did not say she would give anything else to me, so they are not mine to take." He ignored their reaction. He left the hall and did not touch anything more. Berry Path God and Big Sky Demon looked as if they were deep in thought. They did not know if Ancient Devil wanted to leave now and wait until they were injured before swooping in to mop up the goodies or what. They weren't sure if he had learned something the others hadn't either. They couldn't be sure if he knew they weren't supposed to touch the items there or what. Big Sky Demon looked at the items in the hall. She suddenly laughed and said, "Ancient Devil is right. Mr. Leader is like my mother. She gave me all she could. If she did not give the items to me, I should not take them. You can keep the items if you want to." After that, Big Sky Demon turned around and left the hall. Now, only Berry Path God remained in the hall. The situation seemed to be much improved, but Han Sen was still secretly complimenting them. He thought Ancient Devil and Big Sky Demon were people who were tough to deal with. They were afraid the God Chaos Leader had done something to the other items, so they did not dare take them. That was why they decided to leave. They deliberately left those things behind for Berry Path God, so he could test their safety before them. Even if Berry Path God took the items and nothing more happened, he would not be able to use all of the items anyway. Berry Path God seemed to know what Ancient Devil and Big Sky Demon were thinking, so he coldly grunted, "You guys might be scared, but I am not scared. Whatever I get, no other can take." Without hesitating, Berry Path God took the legacy items. He spoke proudly, but he was still being extremely careful. He pulled out a sword and carefully poked a wine barrel. He was really soft and gentle. The wine cask was picked up slowly. It came before Berry Path God. Nothing else really happened. Berry Path God felt grand relief. Berry Path God then picked up the rest of the items. His sleeves were like bottomless chasms in which anything could fit, all without a modicum of trouble. Berry Path God was being extremely careful when picking up all these items. It had been half an hour by now. It was around then that he finished collecting all the items and stuffing them into his sleeves. "Mister, putting the items in there is pointless. Why don't you let me use them all, so I can work harder for Little Master?" Berry Path God bowed to the jade statue. He then took all of the items and left the hall with them. When Berry Path God left the hall, the copper door closed. Han Sen wondered if he should leave, but he gave up on that idea. He planned to leave via the rat hole. Before the door closed shut, Han Sen heard Berry Path God coldly shout, "Big Sky Demon, I knew you would do this." Immediately after, there was some scary striking sound. Han Sen shook his head. If this was in the past, he would have liked to take the treasure too. Now, he had the gene seed. There was no point in needlessly exposing himself. God Chaos Party leader said that item mattered to Bauer's life. Without a gene seed, Bauer might not survive. Han Sen only wanted to bring the gene seed back to Bauer safely and hoped nothing went wrong. Pang! The copper door completely closed. Han Sen was readying himself to leave when he suddenly saw the jade statue possess a mysterious halo. The jade statue, which had closed its eyes, suddenly opened them again. "Since you are here, why do you not come and meet me?" the jade statue asked with a smile. Its eyes that looked like crystals were peering at the rat hole. Han Sen was shocked. This one is strong. It is just a remnant of her soul, yet she made Big Sky Demon and the other two be all messed up. She had them believe the soul remnant was gone, but it is actually still here. It is just a remnant of a soul, yet she was able to find me. She is much better than Big Sky Demon and the other two people. Cough. Ancient Devil was here. I did not want to reveal myself and disturb the others. Han Sen coughed and walked out of the rat hole. He bowed before the jade statue. The jade statue looked at Han Sen with interest. A while later, she said, "You are good?"
What?
Han Sen was shocked. The jade statue's words did not really make sense. He did not know how to respond to her. "You are the one that raised my daughter. Han Senator, you are Mr. Han, yes?" The jade statue did not respond to Han Senator, she merely smiled at him. "I am Han Sen, but I am not really a mister." Before the greatest person in the universe, Han Sen did not want to sound cocky. "You did a good deed for my daughter, so, of course, you are considered a mister. I should be thanking you a great deal." After pausing a moment, the jade statue said, "If you have a wish to make, you can tell it to me, and I can fulfill it." Before Han Sen could speak, the jade statue blinked. "But I am just a soul. If it is something too hard, I may not be able to satisfy you." Han Sen's head developed a lot of black lines. He did not think this God Chaos Party leader was this sort of person. "I treat Bauer like a real daughter," Han Sen said. "I do not need a wish, but there are a few problems I want to quiz you about." "You may speak," the jade statue nodded. "Why do you say Bauer won't live without a gene seed? And why must that person fight Bauer?" Han Sen asked her the questions he cared about the most. In fact, Han Sen really hated this. The so-called destiny was just an elder's wish forced down on their inheritors. As Bauer's mother, the God Chaos Party should not have shouldered Bauer with so much. The jade statue looked at Han Sen with surprise and sighed. "Bauer was raised by you. It is her pleasure. It was my luck too." After pausing, the jade statue sighed and said, "I do not want Bauer to fight him. If he knows Bauer is my daughter, he will look for a way to kill her. As a mother, I want my child to live a happy life. Why would I want her to fight other people? Why must he kill Bauer?" Han Sen wanted to figure out why this was the case. The jade statue looked at Han Sen and said, "That doesn't matter anymore. You just need to know that Human Alpha will not give up on Bauer. If Bauer does not have the gene seed, she cannot go against Human Alpha. No matter what, please deliver the gene seed to Bauer for her to live." "Do not worry," Han Sen said with a look certainty. "I will take this gene seed and put it in her hands. Plus, I will not allow anyone to bring harm to Bauer, no matter who that person is." The jade statue shook her head and said, "You are already strong, but you cannot beat Human Alpha. Only Bauer can once she receives the gene seed. In this universe, no one can do combat with Human Alpha and succeed. This is Bauer's destiny. Therefore, you must survive. Give the gene seed to Bauer. Until then, you must hold on." In this universe, there are no absolutely invincible beings, right? Han Sen asked. "I should be able to find a way to beat him. If I cannot do it alone, I can find other elites to help me. I will find a way." "Things are not that simple," the jade statue said. "You do not understand Human Alpha, which is why you feel this way." She then went silent. Not long after, she sighed and said, "If you really want to protect Bauer, you have to bring her the gene seed. That is the best chance she has of surviving." Han Sen could see the God Chaos Party leader was still refusing to divulge details on the grudge with Human Alpha and knew there was something about all of this she could not reveal. Ergo, he decided to stop asking her questions about it. "I saw Bauer enter the 33 skies, but I am not sure which sky she entered," Han Sen said after looking at the jade statue. That was the biggest problem he was currently facing. If he could not find Bauer, then everything up until now was all for nothing. Bauer is in the 33 skies? That is bad. The Geno tablet has already returned to its origin. If my real body was there, I could find her. Now, I am just a leftover remnant of a soul. I can't do anything about it. The worst thing about all this is you and Big Sky Demon suggesting Qin Xiu might be the Human Alpha, and his power is best to its best potential shape. If he sees Bauer now, he might be able to recognize her. As far as I know, Qin Xiu did not have many talents when he was young." Han Sen asked with curiosity, "Could he be Human Alpha reborn?" Although reincarnation likely erased the memories a spirit possessed, people who were as strong as human alpha would carry with them a strong gene message even if they reincarnated. He could not have reincarnated into garbage that could not practice. If it was not for Qin Wan'er giving her blood to Qin Xiu would not have even been able to practice. Could a person like that really be who human alpha reincarnated as? The jade statue said, "This is normal. Me and Bao'er's father did something to the soul. Even if he reincarnated, he would have been restricted. He would not be able to pass the last stage. With his power, getting past the restrictions is only a matter of time. Perhaps in this life, he has already broken past the restrictions and become something more. If he can do that, he might be able to complete the final step. The only thing that can fight him is me and Bao'er's father, and our genetic child Bao'er." The God Chaos Party leader sounded remarkably chill, but Han Sen could tell she was very proud of Bao'er. There cannot be just two genetics. Bao'er used my blood to be born, so her genes should have a part of me inside her. Han Sen only thought that. He did not dare say it aloud. The jade statue did not look at Han Senator. It did not feel anything weird. She thought about it for a while. She then looked at Han Sen and said, "Right now, our only hope of finding Bao'er is you." "How can I even do that?" Han Sen quickly asked. "Your body has some of Bao'er's genes. You can use a special method to activate the gene message you have because of your connection with Bao'er. You will be able to feel where she is. By doing this, you might have a big problem. You will have a lot of burdens in your body. It will mess up your own gene message. It might even change your gene message." The jade statue was not planning on hiding these issues. "If there is no other way, then I guess I will have to do it," Han Sen said. "Plus, even if I can feel Bao'er, I cannot even go past the 33 skies barriers. I will be unable to find her." "Let me handle that for you," the jade statue said. Her eyebrows looked a bit dewy as she said, "This will take the last bit of my power. After that, I will be gone forever. Bao'er will only have you to depend on. Don't worry. I told you I won't let any harm come to Bao'er because she is my daughter just as much as yours." Han Sen then thought of something. He decided to ask, "Are you the fairy of the White Jade Jing?" The jade statue smiled and said, "The White Jade Jing was what I was born with." Although Han Sen could guess the God Chaos Party leader was from the Geno universe, he was still shocked hearing her voice confirm it. In those endless years, there had been a person who managed to break the main and reverse universes and almost broke the ruling of the god spirits in the reverse universe. That was something no other person had done before. Han Sen wished to ask something, but the jade statue's spirit light broke out of its body. It shot into Han Sen's forehead. It resulted in a voice playing into Han Sen's ears. "There is nothing more I can give you, but I do believe you will do all in your power to help Bao'er. Now, the only person I can put my faith in is you. Before you accomplish what you need to, you must be careful. Deliver the gene seed to Bao'er. If you see one black and one white Geno prototypes combined, that person is the human alpha. If the Geno prototype is not on his body, that means he has already managed to break the restrictions. You and Bao'er must be more careful than ever." After that, the spirit light went into Han Sen's forehead. Han Sen felt as if there was some really clear power coming into his brain. His body was like an erupting volcano, and he was melting in its midst. All of his cells became steel juice. 2 Geno prototypes, one and one white, combined. Han Sen's brain kept thinking about the God Chaos Party leader's final words. He also felt compelled to think about the ultimate egg. Is Wu Wei Dao Alpha also human alpha? Did God Chaos Party leader create the ultimate egg and leave it for him and his soul? Time did not permit Han Sen to think about all of that for too long. The God Chaos Party leader's spirit power was like a firework in a barrel of fireworks. Han Sen's gene messages exploded, and a part of his gene messages was reinforced. When the explosive feeling was gone, Han Sen's body started to calm down. It was not as bad as God Chaos Party leader had said. God Chaos Party leader's final spirit power modified a part of his genes. It did not mess up his gene messages. After it was modified, Han Sen's sense powers, which always felt like they were there but not there, were stronger than ever. It enabled Han Sen to find where Bao'er was. That sense power only worked between Han Sen and Bao'er. His other senses did not become stronger. That sense power was more like a deepening connection between his genes. God Chaos Party leader did not lie to me. I am able to feel Bauer. Han Sen was thrilled by this. He also sensed that Bauer could now feel him as well. He knew she was coming his way. God Chaos Party leader said she would be able to help me sort out how to navigate through the 33 skies. I wonder if she has sorted that out for me yet. Han Sen ceased his hesitation. He bowed to the jade statue and returned to the rat hole. He ignored Big Sky Demon and the others. He returned via the way he came in. He reached the entrance where the evil Godbeard proved troublesome. This time, before Han Sen could even get close to the evil Godbeard, the evil Godbeard moved back. It was like it was meeting someone scary. It hurried away to avoid him. Han Sen rushed out from the copper tablet and peered into Dust Sky's sky. He then flew up high. He headed into space. He wanted to break the Dust Sky barrier and reach the next sky. Han Sen felt that Bauer was someplace above him. Although he did not know which floor, he knew she was above him. When Han Sen reached Dust Sky's barrier, he felt a lot of pressure. The rule powers of Dust Sky were attempting to suppress him. He suddenly felt a weird, clear message surge through his body's cells. Dust Sky's rule powers combined and made Han Sen go through the barrier and reach the 11th sky. The 11th sky was a flower world. It was full of flowers and vines. There were countless swarms of bees and butterflies soaring through the skies, harvesting nectar. Han Sen had only just entered the 11th sky when he felt as if there was a weird power landing on him. Because he had the weird spirit power protecting him, the rule powers did not invade his body. With that spirit power mixing, it accepted him. The God Chaos Party's leader really is different. It was only a remnant of her soul that did this, yet it clearly demonstrates vast power. Han Sen could not help but compliment it. In fact, Han Sen overestimated the God Chaos Party leader's leftover spirit power. Aside from the fact that the God Chaos Party was very strong, the reason why this happened was due to another important reason. She used to be the Geno Tablet's master. She was the one that designed the 33 skies. No one could be more understanding of the ways that place worked than her. Although she was not the master of the Geno Tablet anymore, she could still use some of her power to enable Han Sen to have a free reign of travel in the 33 skies. Han Sen did not stop. He kept going up to a higher place. He could tell that Bauer was not in the 11th sky. She was somewhere higher, so that was where Han Sen was going to go. Han Sen kept breaking through all the skies he could. The barriers of the 33 skies were unable to deny his passing. The spirit power's presence combined with the barriers each time. It made the barriers become a part of Han Sen, letting him pass through easily each time. Han Sen felt Bauer's presence become stronger with each sky he scaled. Bauer was happily flying toward him at the same time. There was only one sky left separating the two. Han Sen broke through the barrier again, reaching the 15th sky. This time, he could feel Bauer was nearby. Of course, before Han Sen saw Bauer, he had already heard Bauer's voice in the distance. She indicated that she was on the way just as he was for her. "Dad, I cannot believe it. After all this time, it looks like I have finally found you." When Han Sen saw Bauer, she had already jumped to him. Beside her was a flying fish and a small cat lying on her head. When Han Sen held her, he complained, "Did I not ask you to wait in the Feng's family castle? Why did you come to this place all alone? I should hit you." After Han Sen said that, he lifted his hands and smacked Bauer on the bum. He raised his hands high but smacked gently.
Bauer blushed.
"There was this old man saying you were in danger in this place. He told me to go and help you, but he was clearly lying. You are doing just fine here. How dare that old man curse you? The next time I see him, I am going to twist his ears off." Han Sen was shocked. He looked at Bauer as he asked her, "Old liar? Do you mean Han Jinji?" "Yes, it was that old liar," Bauer said with a nod. Han Sen's face changed. He thought, what did Han Jinji mean? Why would he trick Bauer into going to the 33 skies? Does he know Bauer's true identity? Plus, who really is Han Jinji? Han Sen was still so curious about who Han Jinji was. Even now, he was not sure if Han Jinji was his real family. Suddenly, Han Sen's heart jumped. He quickly clutched Bauer and left the area. Pang! A beam of fire suddenly came down from the sky. It was like spring water, but the beam of fire was a pure beam of fire. It blew 30,000 feet into the sky and came to an end. Han Sen held Bauer. He looked in a certain direction. He saw something red with wings on its back. It looked like a tiger. Its tail was still burning with fire. It was a break-world beast. It was standing on a cliff, staring at Han Sen and Bauer. "How dare you enter my 15th sky? Do you have a death wish or something?" The break-world beast roared. It was a roar that shocked the sky. Its roar shocked the whole sky. The whole 15th sky shook because of its roar. It was like a big earthquake. Fire geysers kept opening up on the ground. Each one sent 30,000-foot-height pillars of fire into the sky. It made the 15th sky look like purgatory. Break-world beast had a weird fire-like symbol on its forehead. It created a resonance in the 15th sky. The 15th sky's firepower kept going to the break-world beast, making the break-world beast's presence and atmosphere become scarier. At the same time, the Geno tablet's 15th sky text started to light up. It was like a fire that was burning. It was brighter than the text of any sky. 15th Sky Leader, Ultimate Tail Fire Beast. The main and the reverse universe creatures could see the Geno tablet, but they had no idea what was going on. The 15th Sky's leader had only appeared a few days ago, but it was now lighting up again. That had never happened before. Before, all the leaders of each sky would only have their names shine on the tablet when a sky was first claimed. Now, the 15th Sky's leader's name was flickering again. That had to mean it was something quite profound. As the 15th Sky and its leader's name flickered, everyone in the 33 skies, which looked like a headstone, were curious. Han Sen saw a ring shining on the Geno tablet. If he calculated correctly, he knew it was not too hard to take over the 15th sky. Boom! The Geno tablet was shining. The tablet unleashed light in 4 directions. It revealed a purgatory-like scene that was ravaged by fire. The red beast was standing on a broken cliff in the sea of fire. It raised its head and roared with the volume of thunder. The scorch marks that represented him as the leader were on his forehead, and they were glowing. The main and revere universe creatures watching saw the scene. No matter how stupid they were, easily guessed that the big red beast was the leader of the 15th sky, Ultimate Tail Fire Beast. The scene the Geno tablet depicted was the 15th sky and its burning red sky. They did not understand why the burning red sky was exhibiting these changes. Even the Geno tablet was showing the burning red sky. That was very rare. They were quickly given the answers they sought. That was because a few people were in the shadow of the Geno tablet. A young man was holding a little girl, who was 5 or 6 years old. The little girl was holding a little red cat. There was also a flying fish flying around her with wings. Not many people knew about the girl and the 2 pets, but the man's identity made the creatures of the main and reverse universe scream, "Han Sen. Why is he in the 15th sky? Dollar is finally going to do something. Who said the Geno universe has nobody? What is he doing in the 15th sky? Shouldn't he be trying to take down another sky and secure a leader seat? That is what Dollar God does. You can be a leader, but he will wait until you become one and dethrone you." Holy **T. It looks like it is real. Dollar God is going to be so powerful. Dollar God, you can chill out. Don't scare off the reverse universe assholes. The people in the Geno universe kept talking. As the strongest leader of the Geno universe, most of the high races and low races supported Han Sen. That asshole. He always makes people worry. In Space Garden, Han Yufei lifted her glasses and smiled. Qin Xian, Tang Zhenliu, and the others who saw Han Sen and Bauer were fine felt a huge rush of relief overtake them. They could not, however, see Wang Yuhang. That worried them quite a bit. Wang Yuhang had gone into the 33 skies to look for Han Senator now. Han Sen had appeared, but Wang Yuhang was missing. In the universe of kingdoms, many people spoke about Han Senator. They especially did in the Qin Kingdom. Many people saw Han Sen up there on the Geno tablet, and they all looked conflicted. That evil officer better die in the 33 skies so that he cannot come back and wreak havoc and harm on the Qin Kingdom again. A loyal Qin Kingdom officer prayed as he gnashed his teeth in spite. San Mu went to the 33 skies. Is he trying to take the leader's seat? Qin Bai looked excited. He held a bowl of seeds, and kept eating them as he watched. King Qin's face looked a whole lot more conflicted. He did not have much life left in him. With Han Sen not around, his body had become much worse. He was probably not going to live much longer. He wanted to use Han Sen and Qin Bai's relationship to allow Qin Bai to become king, but Han Sen did not like to be ordered around. He was a headstrong character driven by his own volitions and never on the whims of others. One could not trust him much. If Han Sen was the same as teacher Jian, that would be great. King Qin continued to miss his old teacher, Jian Bugu. In the Geno Hall and all the god halls, many god spirits focused on this fight. They knew more about this than ordinary people and creatures. The Geno tablet was on the same level as the Geno Hall. It could even replace the Geno Hall as a place that could be used to suppress the sky. Now, every leader in the 33 skies was considered a god figure. If there were any changes with the leader, it would have a big impact on the future. Plus, this fight now involved Han Senator. They wanted to see how far Han Sen had gone and how far he could still go. God Hall leader looked at Han Sen in the burning red sky with interest. He said to himself, this guy has improved quite a bit. Can he walk out of this and carry on to face off against Qin Xiu? Qin Xiu, who had just been mentioned by God Hall leader, was watching the fight too. All the world's new leaders were watching this fight. Many leaders did not understand that even if they did assume the position of leader, there was a chance they would not remain as a leader for all of time. When Han Sen stood in front of the ultimate tail fire beast, the Geno tablet exhibited a lot of movement. Everyone now realized that the leaders could be challenged and risked the prospect of losing their position. He does not have what it takes. That ultimate tail fire beast's break world rate has reached 95%. How dare Han Sen think he can challenge Ultimate Tail Fire Beast? Some people knew Ultimate Tail Fire Beast had made some noise in his time there. He had scared entire systems. Even if he does have a break world rate above 95%, a break world rate is useless. He will still lose. Ultimate Tail Fire Beast is the leader of the burning sky. He is a fire break world beast. He has the buffs of a red and fire-filled sky, yet Han Sen dares to challenge him. He must have a death wish. A scary creature from the Chu Kingdom made a sound that shocked all of the Chu Kingdom. Not bad. The pride of a sky leader is not easily challenged. I am afraid this kid will not even have a dead body left to bury. Many break world beasts of the universe of kingdoms were speaking. Ever since the Wu Wei Dao Alpha created the Wu Wei Dao Palace, humans were able to take over the universe of kingdoms. The gene races had been suppressed for a very long time. Now, that was on its head. The entire universe changed. Too many life souls were possessing the gene races, and that made the gene races jump higher on the food chain and evolve. They were starting to have a power that made them able to fight back against humans. The fight between Ultimate Tail Fire Beast and Han Sen made the break world beasts that came from gene races willing to speak for Ultimate Tail Fire Beast. They were willing to show their power and have it serve as an example to scare off humans. There were some upset voices amidst the humans, but at this point, no one was willing to speak for Han Senator. Most people from the Qin Kingdom thought Han Sen was evil. Those from the other 6 kingdoms did not have a good impression of Han Sen either. They would not risk speaking positively about him. Only the Feng family castle's Feng Fei sisters and the Zhao family sisters were worried about Han Sen's welfare. Jian Bugu was his usual self, tidying the garden Han Sen and Bauer used to use. When he saw Han Sen appear on the video stream across the Geno tablet, he stopped working and looked into the sky. Ultimate Tail Fire Beast flapped its wings. It opened its mouth, but it did not spit out fire. The fire, which was like an endless sea, went into his mouth. It went right into its body. It was just a beast with a body that possessed a tail that was on fire. Now, his entire body was on fire. When he sucked in the sea of fire, the fire blazed stronger. It was like a beast of fire stepping off a cliff. The cliff was melting with its feet. It made lots of steel juice drip. It is no wonder he is a sky leader. With the red burning sky power buff, Ultimate Tail Fire Beast's break world rate has increased. When someone saw this, they were shocked. Tail Fire Beast's body was on fire. Its eyes were burning like a vortex of lava. It looked at Han Sen with an overbearing aura. It then unleashed a geyser of fire. The fire was very unique. Just as it left the Tail Fire Beast's mouth, It activated all the fire elements in the universe's universal cogwheels. The power of the fire subdued the rules of all the others. It created an absolute fire rule seal. This was an absolute break world power. It was the type of power only break world creatures that had a break world rate over 90% could use. It was very close to an ultimate aura. As a sky full of fire descended, all the rules were replaced by fire rules. The fire scorched the entire world. Han Sen did not plan on backing down. He used his jade skin to break the world. A mysterious ice jade marking revealed itself. It came together to become an ice jade ball that put Han Sen, Bauer, and the two pets inside its protection. He has a break world rate that is only 60%. This fight is going to lack excitement. The break world beast that watched Han Sen saw his break world mark and acknowledged that he was not spawning an absolute by Sema. They were all coldly laughing at him. It was just a layer of power. The tail fire beast had a burning red sky power buff to fuel its strength, and it looked as if the fight was going to be over very soon. Pang! The fire was like a disaster coming down. It buried Han Sen and his ice jade shield with endless streams of fire that seemed able to bully the world. The whole burning red sky became a purgatory of fire. Everything was melting. It was such a scary scene that everyone was shaking. Tail Fire Beast was like a god beast that managed fire. It made people feel scared just seeing it. If it wanted to, it seemed it could cast disasters on a whim and set the whole world on fire. In the next second, everyone froze. Amidst that endless purgatory of fire, there was an icy light. A holy shadow emerged from the fire. When the shadows disappeared, one could see that the scorching fire was frozen. It was like an ice statue that looked like tentacles in the air. How is that even possible? Many break world beasts were shocked. They looked at Han Sen with a gaze of disbelief. A man with a break world rate of 60% was squaring off against a foe with a 90% break world rate. Despite that, the former was using a weaker element and could repel the fire conjured by Tail Fire Beast. It was extremely difficult to believe. Although the break world rate was not real power, there was a difference between the combatants' levels. Furthermore, the elements were weaker. It was hard to believe something lower could defeat something higher. Tail Fire Beast's pupils became small. It roared madly. The fire in the burning red sky started to explode. The fire coming to attack Han Sen raged even more. Han Sen looked cold. He appeared clean and icy. It was not like he was a being from Earth. The Ice Jade power fought the fire power. It separated two worlds. There was only a wall of fire in front of Han Senator. It was a lava fire. Behind him was a frozen path of ice and jade. The two powers with different levels collided. No one could prove greater than the other, which made time freeze in place. On a distant planet far away, there was a god temple wrought of metal. It was near a forest and a river. A woman was sitting atop a rock on the banks of the river. Her white feet dangled in the water. She kicked and splashed it merrily. A man with white hair was not too far from the river. He was cooking fish on the nice flames of a campfire. The woman held her jaw and looked up. She saw Tail Fire Beast battling against Han Senator. She lifted her lips and said, "What a fool. It has been so long, and he has only practiced Cold Sutra to this level." The white-haired man smiled. He is a man practicing Cold Sutra. It is merely lucky he has not been consumed. It is not easy for him to practice that. The woman was not happy. No matter what body he has, if he took my Cold Sutra, he must do his best to master it. The white-haired man laughed and did not speak. He knew what the personality of this woman was like. It was not that she was not enjoying Han Sen's performance. She just wanted Han Sen to be able to do better. What a fool. It is the Cold Sutra. What did he do with it? He cannot even put out a small fire. He is making a fool out of me. The woman complained again. Even so, when she squinted her eyes, it looked as if there was a faint smile forming. The white-haired man asked, "If you hate him that much, why do you not invite him here? Perhaps you can teach him the true Cold Sutra." The woman shook her head and sighed. "It does not matter anymore. The water is too polluted. It would be best if we do not touch it anymore." The white-haired man did not respond. After cooking the fish, he gave it to the woman. The woman accepted the fish and had a bite. She resumed watching Han Sen in combat. As she continued to eat, she said, The cold sutra he practices with is weird. It is different from my cold sutra. Even if he has taken a shortcut, I wonder what it will be when he practices it at its ultimate level. The same Geno arts turn out differently depending on who practices them, the white-haired man said. Plus, men and women are different. It is normal for this to be different. The woman looked at the white-haired man and asked, so, if he and I practice to the max, whose cold sutra would end up stronger? Of course, yours would be stronger. The white-haired man did not hesitate to respond and looked sincere as he spoke. The woman puffed from her mouth and rolled her eyes. You answer me honestly now. Do not lie. The white-haired man laughed and said, I am speaking the truth. If it was just a matter of cold power, I think yours would be better. Regarding interest, I think his modified cold sutra might prove more interesting. What do you mean by interesting? The woman asked. She looked at the man with confusion. She was not entirely sure what he meant. Unknown things are always interesting due to the infinite possibilities one can think up, the white-haired man said. No one can see what lies ahead to determine the outcome. Therefore, you are always made hopeful in seeing the unknown. The white-haired man looked weird as he proceeded to say, like this. When the white-haired man spoke, the burning red sky's power exhibited changes. Han Sen's ice jade power suddenly lessened. The ice jade shield became smaller too. The stalemate of balance between the two was broken. The crazy fire came down to cover Han Sen's holy body. The creatures watching were shocked. They thought Tailfire Beast had taken the advantage and beat Han Sen. The Break World beasts were so excited that they roared. The Geno Universe's creatures looked terrible. If the Geno Universe's strongest elites lost, they would not stand a chance. Are Sanmu and Bauer okay? Shinbai asked with worry. While everyone's emotions were in the realm of weirdness, something strange happened. A vortex appeared in the sea of fire. A lot of fire went into the vortex. Everyone was quickly able to see Han Sen's holy body manifest inside the swirl. It was a bit different from what they previously believed. Han Sen had not been melted by the flame power. Instead, he had become very strange. The outside of his body was covered with an ice crystal shield, but the ice crystal shield had turned into a weird, screw-shaped thing that looked like a sea conch hooking outside Han Sen's body. The crazy fire went inside the sea conch shield. It followed the sea conch shape like a screw going inside. It looked like many fire dragons were surrounding Han Sen's body and dancing strangely. The fire power kept going in. It made the fire vortex in the shield go faster. The fire was restricted in the movement and controlled by the ice jade power. Its mass was going to be suppressed. It created a weird vortex. It could not get close to Han Sen's body. Let's see just how much you can endure. After witnessing this scene, Tailfire Beast did not stop. It coldly laughed and made the fire rage at Han Sen with even greater ferocity. The burning red sky lacked everything but fire. It was going to break Han Sen's sea conch shell shield. The transparent sea conch shield was hit with more fire. The whole sea conch turned red like a sculpture made out of red crystal. The fire inside was red and burning. The flames looked white and gold. It made the people spectating start to worry. They thought the shield might be melted by the fire. Yet, Han Sen's face remained as still and stoic as ever. His situation appeared dangerous, but it was not as dangerous as others might have imagined. He used the White Sheep Fairy's hollow structure to separate a few pipelines in the sea conch shell. It looked like there was only one fire inside it. In fact, it was separated into many different paths of fire. The self-impact power was used to suppress it all during the process. Of course, that was just the first step. Han Sen ultimately did not want to control the fire. When the whole sea conch shell turned purple and white, Han Sen's eyes blazed with a cold light. He reached out his fingers. The sea conch shell rose up and became smaller in space. It turned into a marble-sized sea conch shell in Han Sen's hands. There was a very strong sense of suppression in that mini sea conch fire. Han Sen looked at Tailfire Beast and put the sea conch between his thumb and middle finger. He flicked it at Tailfire Beast. Tailfire Beast felt the scary flame power inside the sea conch, but it was not afraid. It coldly laughed and asked, "Do you want to use this power to beat me? You must be far too naive to believe that is possible. Even if you put your flame power into it at its max, as long as it is fire power, it will obey me." No matter how strong it is, it will not hurt me. What you have done has only helped me. It is also enough to kill you." After that, Tail Fire Beast shot out another scary fire. He was going to break the sea conch and release the undying suppression fire inside. He was going to use that fire to burn Han Sen. It is scary to be ignorant. What a dumb fool with just limbs and power. Han Sen coldly looked at Tail Fire Beast but did not do anything. Pang! The fire arrow struck the sea conch. The fire arrow's power worked with the fire inside from the outside. The sea conch suddenly cracked. The purple-white fire flowed out of it, burying everything around. Han Sen and Tail Fire Beast were drenched in the fire. "Humans are so naive," a scary break world beast said with a great look of disdain for the exhibit. He wants to use suppressive fire to kill Tail Fire Beast. Does he not know the burning red skies leader Tail Fire Beast is a fire god? No fire can hurt him. Many powerful creatures thought Han Sen had used the wrong skill as well. Against the burning red skies leader, fire was useless. Suppressing fire was not stable. It suddenly released a scary power, which quickly vanished. When the purple and white fire was suppressed, everyone was able to see what was happening on the battleground. Han Sen was still safe standing on the ground and holding Bauer. There was a sea conch shield outside of his body. It guided the fire to spin inside it. It reduced half of the explosive impact. While it was in the air, Tail Fire Beast was riddled with several holes. The lava-like blood of the beast was gushing out. Its eyes were rendered into smoky holes. How was that possible? Many scary creatures looked on in disbelief. Tang Junliu lost his voice as he laughed and said, "Ah, typical. It really does appear as if those dumb break world beasts have a really low level of intelligence. Do they not know anything? Do they not understand what bullet theory is? The real deadly fire is not the energy of its explosion. It is the substances that are pushed by energy." Tail Fire Beast was bleeding lots of blood that looked like lava. It roared, wanting to stir up another incendiary storm. As it roared, its body collapsed. Blood came gushing out of every orifice in its body. It was like countless amounts of volcanoes were all erupting at the same time. Boom, boom. Tail Fire Beast's giant body fell. It fell into a hot lava sea and sank into it. As many scary creatures were watching this in shock, a light flew out of the lava and came before Han's senator. It was a mysterious spell. It was the mark that had been on Tail Fire Beast's forehead moments before. It represented the burning red sky's will. It was the Sky Leader's mark. Now that it was appearing in front of Han Sen, everyone understood what was happening. Han Sen had replaced Tail Fire Beast to become a new owner of Burning Red Sky. Break World Beast hunted. Ultimate Tail Fire Beast. Found Break World Gene. An announcement sounded in Han Sen's brain. Han Sen looked at the Sky Leader's mark. He raised his hand and let the mark appear in his palm. The mark blended into his skin. When this was all done, the fires of Burning Red Sky went mad. They did not seek to hurt Han Sen, though. It was like the sky and the ground were releasing fireworks in praise. It was as if they were celebrating the birth of a new fire leader. The Geno Tablets video stream ended there. There was a new ranking on the leaderboard. The names on the 15th sky were still glowing. However, Tail Fire Beast's name was no longer there. 15th Sky Leader, Han Sen. That line of words shown in the main and reverse universes. It drew the attention of many creatures. All the races in the Geno universe were happy. Finally, a creature from the Geno universe had obtained the seat of a leader. It was also done by slaying another leader. The Geno universe's creatures were all very happy about this. What a scary man. He only has a break world rate of 60%, and he only used a simple skill to easily kill Tail Fire Beast. Many break world beasts felt conflicted about this. Han Sen's fight gave many weak break world beasts see the hope of being weaker yet still being able to topple the strong. They also knew that they could not outright do it as Han Sen had. Han Sen dug up the Tail Fire Beast's broken body. Its body was riddled with wounds, but it was still crystal like jade. The flesh was like red, burned steel. One was able to see how strong it was. After digging out the break world gene, he gave the dead body to the small flying fish and small cat. Han Sen swallowed the break world gene. Tailfire Beast was a break world beast with a break world rate of 95% or above. It increased Han Sen's break world gene tally by 8, so the reward for the effort was not too shabby. Bauer, this is for you. Han Sen carried Bauer to a no-man's land. He used his Burning Red Sky leader's power to hide the Burning Red Sky rules. He took out the gourd seed and passed it to Bauer. Bauer's eyes opened wide as she looked at Han Sen and the gourd seed he was offering to her. She was confused and asked, "Dad, what is this? Why does this thing give me a familiar feeling? I found it on a gourd vine." "You came from a gourd, so maybe it is related to you." Han Sen did not tell Bauer about the God Chaos Party's old leader. Although the God Chaos Party leader's soul was gone, telling Bauer about all that would likely upset her. It was best for him not to say anything. "Thank you, Dad." Bauer happily accepted the gourd seed. The gourd seed, which looked normal in Han Sen's hands, exhibited weird changes when it was in Bauer's hands. It was like the seed came alive. It grew fast and quickly became a gourd vine. It surrounded Bauer. Han Sen did not interfere. He merely watched. If that gourd vine did anything explicitly negative to Bauer, he would do all that he could to destroy it. As Bauer subjected herself to the gourd's treatment, she looked very happy. The gourd vine surrounding her kept growing. It was like a living thing that could grow on its own and become a set of vine-wreathed armor cladding Bauer's body. When the vine armor was composed, the gourd vine started to die. The leaves looked like dust as they fell and scattered. The green vines looked dry. They changed from yellow to brown and from brown to gray and black. As the vine armor kept changing, it became a gray vine armor. It perfectly wrapped up Bauer's small body. It looked very delicate. It was like it was tailor-made. Bauer tried to move with it. The vine armor did not affect her movement. It was very light. "This vine armor is interesting. I feel as if I can hear it." Bauer waved her hand, and the vine armor swam around it. It became a vine hammer. Bauer kept morphing. The vine armor kept changing into whatever she wished it to be. It turned into a knife, spear, sword, or whip. It could easily become anything like that. It was also able to create a Gatling gun. It made Han Sen freeze. "Bauer, quit playing around," Han Sen said. "Let's see if this thing actually works." He could not sense a special power in the vine armor. All he could feel was a presence that was quite similar to the black crystal armor. It was, however, a bit different. It was unknown what sort of power resided inside it. This was something the God Chaos Party leader had left behind for her daughter. It was likely something quite special, so Han Sen could not wait to see the true power of the vine armor. Bauer paused and thought for a moment. She then turned the vine armor into a big vine hammer. She smacked a rock next to her. Pang! The vine hammer smacked the big rock. It made a huge sound. Han Sen's eyes opened wide. He did not open his eyes wide because of the vine hammer's power. The rock was not broken. It bounced the hammer back. Bauer fell onto her head. She dropped her butt on the ground, and her little head rolled around. She looked dizzy. Holy **T. The God Chaos Party must have tricked us. Why would she leave something that lame behind for her daughter? Han Sen wanted to laugh. Han Sen knew something had to be amiss. God Chaos Party leader would not actually leave something totally useless for her daughter. Bauer shook her head. She stood up and looked a little bit mad. She lifted the hammer and used even more strength to break the stone in front of her. There was a pang sound. Again, the stone was not affected. The vine hammer flew out of Bauer's hands. It hit the ground, bounced a few times, and stopped moving. Han Sen and Bauer were frozen. This was the first time they had ever seen such a useless weapon. With Bauer wielding it as a weapon, even an ordinary steel sword would make the rock be hewn in two. But the vine hammer did not even leave a mark on it. Bauer could not help but summon the vine hammer back. She turned it into a knife, sword, spear, and trident. She tested all its forms out, but the results were always the same. The vine, which once looked really powerful, was unable to damage a stone. What is going on with this thing? Han Sen knew it might be that Bauer had not yet found the proper way to use it, so he had Bauer put it away for further research at another time. Bauer madly tossed the vine on the ground, but the vines surrounded her again. It became a set of vine armor that wrapped up Bauer's body. "Bauer, you go back. Without my permission, do not come to the 33 skies again. Han Sen picked up Bauer, Small Cat, and the small flying fish, and readied himself to send them out of the 33 skies. He was the leader of Burning Red Sky. He could take people out of Burning Red Sky whenever he wanted to, which meant he could also leave. Before Han Sen left, a scary presence suddenly appeared in Burning Red Sky. The suppression was like hell. It was like a sea. It covered all of Burning Red Sky. Han Sen's face changed. He could not see who this person was, but this was a scary suppression. He had not seen this very often. This power indicated that whoever had it was not someone ordinary. When Han Sen saw who had arrived, his face changed. One could have said that his face looked very glum. A gold light was coming down from the sky. A blonde lady wearing white, royal clothing appeared. She was like an angel, descending on the land. She was like a holy goddess floating down from the godly realms. Han Sen recognized her. She was the blonde Wanner, but he had turned Wanner into the black hair variant. He did not know why she was blonde again. Seeing blonde Wanner and her cold eyes, Han Sen knew he was in trouble. Qin Xiu, that asshole. He turned Wanner into a cold, killing machine again. Does he not know Wanner is the happiest when she has black hair? Han Sen knew Qin Xiu had done something to make Wanner blonde again. He was very annoyed. At the same time, Han Sen no longer felt safe. Mr. White said I will face bad luck in the 33 skies. Does that disaster have something to do with Wanner showing up? The blonde Wanner did not display the slightest flicker of emotion. It was like she was incapable of rendering them. Her eyes were very cold. It was as if she saw nothing. When she looked at Han Sen, it was as if her focus wasn't even on him. Wanner. Han Sen gently called out her name, but he could see Wanner's emotionless face show no difference. He knew blonde Wanner didn't like him as the black-haired Wanner did. Wanner's body was wreathed with gold fire. Her blonde hair was straight. She went from an angel goddess to a scary, demon woman. Han Sen was shocked. This time, the blonde Wanner looked a bit different from how she did before. The power she wielded was still the reverse super god spirit body that had not managed to break the world. Within her reverse super god spirit body, Han Sen sensed a familiar power, a power that was highly similar to the black crystal armor. Wanner peered at Han Senator. She then raised her arms like she was wielding a blade of judgment. She immediately slashed toward Han Sen. A gold flame came out from her arms like a blade. When it slashed, it was like a gold punishment. It suddenly broke all the rules and landed on Han Sen's head. Han Sen drew his inch gray sword and used his xenogeneic battle body. The inch gray sword's blade struck Wanner's gold light. It created a scary sonic boom. Han Sen clutched his inch gray sword tightly, but he was driven back so that his feet cleaved a trench in the earth 100 miles long. His face changed. Wanner, what did Qin Xiu do to you? He could tell that the strike Wanner had just unleashed was not merely the reverse super god spirit body's power. It had a black crystal armor power. With the buffing of the black crystal armor power, Wanner's reverse super god spirit body had not managed to break the world, but she had a battle power that was far scarier than any break world creature. Even if Tail Fire Beast was alive, it would not have been able to withstand this power. Wanner did not speak. She teleported in front of Han Sen like a killing machine and slashed toward him. Han Sen's body exploded with xenogeneic battle body power. The inch gray sword was glowing. He tried his hardest to fight Wanner, but it almost seemed certain that he was going to lose. Wanner was using her power to fight. This sort of fighting was something that exceeded what Han Sen's body could realistically compete with. No one would have been able to gain an advantage. Their fight came to a moment in which their brains no longer had to think. Sword lights and gold lights kept crossing each other. Even though they were using the same skills, Han Sen's strength was no greater than Wanner's. He was at an obvious disadvantage. However, Han Sen's skills were better than Wanner's. Despite not being able to win, he used all of his skill to prevent actually losing. He could keep things going, but Han Sen clearly felt that Wanner's power in the fight was only becoming stronger as time went by. It was like her entire body was showering in the holy, gold light. Every inch of her godly body was releasing godly light. Every time their attacks connected, it was like the volume of her body's glow became brighter. What did Qin Xiu do to her? Why does her body wield the black crystal armor's power? Han Sen strongly asked. He knew the black crystal armor was something truly amazing, but he did not know how to commandeer the black crystal armor and take authorship of it. When the black crystal armor belonged to Han Sen, the only way he could engage xenogeneic mode was through its aid. There was one thing weird about that. The black crystal armor's power seemed to work for xenogeneic creatures and gene races, but it never really worked much on humans. Even if Han Sen swallowed it, its power did not help him evolve. Its only benefit was helping Han Sen practice the story of genes, and that was it. If the black crystal armor was the one that the God Chaos party leader mentioned, then why can Qin Xiu use the black crystal armor? Is he really the human alpha the God Chaos party leader mentioned? Han Sen did not quite understand. Dong! Han Sen blocked Wanner's next hand slash. He fell back in the air, holding the inch-gray sword as it quivered in response. The impact of that last hit had been far too fierce. In the few minutes their fight had lasted, Wanner's power seemed to be getting stronger. Her strength was still accelerating. Bauer, wait for me over there. Han Sen let Bauer go. He had to use all of his power to engage in this battle. If he did not, the prediction of a disaster befalling him might come true. Bauer was tossed to the side by Han Senator. The small flying fish and small cat went with her. Bauer rode the big version of the small flying fish, holding small cat as she observed. Both of Han Sen's hands clutched the handle of the inch-gray sword. His eyes looked as if they were spreading. Under his eyes, the whole world was now a composition of various substances. He used his sword like a knife and used under-the-sky knife skills. Everything was a chess piece with under the sky. Han Sen gave up his reaction to the fight. His brain started spinning like crazy. Swords and humans, humans and the ground and the sky, were all becoming one. The person was in the game using themselves as a base to affect the entire situation. Han Sen's knife skills looked messed up. After all, Han Sen's knife did not seem to go for Wanner's weak spots. The many traces and movements he made looked weird. A commoner would have thought that Han Sen was just messing around. This knife skill was in the 33 skies. Qin Xiu was watching and said, "Interesting knife skills, but this knife skill can only block once. He cannot defeat Wanner. Our grudge is something best resolved through Wanner's participation." While he was talking, Qin Xiu's eyes followed Wanner's left hand. She was wearing a black crystal ring on her left pinky. It was releasing some mysterious light. Han Sen's hand had the inch-gray sword mid-swing. It was unknown how many times he had slashed at this point. He suddenly fell back and departed the battleground with his sword slashing forward like mad. Boom! Burning red skies fires exploded. Countless flames started to ravage. It became many different fire knives that were crazily going toward Wanner. Wanner's eyes froze. Her gold light exploded. All of the fire knives became gold light air. But there were too many fire knives. The sky and the earth became a river of fire that kept going for Wanner without reprieve. The fire knives that were destroyed quickly returned to endlessly assault Wanner. Han Sen's under-the-sky knife skills reached the max. The permission to be burning red skies leader reached the max. An infinite fire knife river madly attacked. With as much obscene power as she had, even Wanner was getting grounded amidst the river of knives. The gold light dimmed. Upon seeing Wanner's gold light start to dim, the fire knife river became crazier. Han Sen's face did not get better. On this day, he was feeling very restless. He just did not know where this sense of restlessness came from. Catcha! A fire knife air broke the gold light that carried Wanner. It slashed through Wanner's shoulder. Blood was everywhere. Wanner's shiny god body had a small blood mark. Suddenly, fire knife airs were coming down to cover the sky and ground to break the gold light that was protecting Wanner's body. Many knife airs cut her clothes to impart many small marks on her body. Although the wounds were not that deep, the fire knife airs were countless in their numbers. More knife airs came raining down, making Wanner suffer many big hits. She looked more and more wounded as time went by. There was blood on her snow-white, royal-like clothing. The blood looked like flowers. Seeing Wanner's super god spirit body be ripped, Han Sen started to feel a bit unsettled. Without really thinking about it, he found himself clutching the inch-gray sword tighter. He stared at Wanner, hoping to see something. Before Han Sen could see anything, Wanner's body looked as if it had just been vaporized. The fire knife airs went through her body. Wanner's shadow went through the sea of fire to appear in front of Han's senator. All her wounds were healed, and her clothes were fine. It was as if she had not been harmed at all. A hand like a knife came slicing down. Wanner's shadow had become solid again, but Han Sen was prepared. The inch gray sword was swung. It slashed down and collided with Wanner's hand. Dong! The inch gray sword and Wanner's hand crashed into each other. The indestructible inch gray sword was unable to cut Wanner's skinny jade hand that wielded a gold light. Upon their collision, the two of their hits made a golden jade sound. Han Sen felt as if there was some unstoppable power coming at him very quickly. It made his body fall back into space. His body broke through a lot of blockages and created some kind of air explosion. The force of air exploded all of his clothes, revealing his muscular body. That power was Super God Spirit Body power. Han Sen's eyes looked as if they were on fire. He looked at Wanner as she adopted a shadow that did not look at all different from Han Sen's own Super God Spirit Body. It was not the skill that was the reverse Super God Spirit Body. Wanner has not been able to break the world, so how can she use the Super God Spirit Body power? Han Sen did not understand. Wanner did not give him time to think. She was already slashing toward Han Sen again. He waved his sword to fight back. Wanner's body became a shadow again. She got close to Han Sen and became solid again. She slashed toward his neck again. Han Sen seemed to have prepared for this. He entered his own Super God Spirit mode, which made his body become a light shadow that could evade Wanner's slash. Blood spilled like crazy. Han Sen's neck was delivered a bloody mark. His Super God Spirit Body did not dodge Wanner's hand slash. Luckily, Han Sen was just trying this. He was able to dodge the brunt of the attack. She was unable to hit anywhere important. Otherwise, if that slash had been able to unleash its full capacity on him, Han Sen's head would have definitely been lopped off. This is wrong. This is so wrong. Why can Wanner switch between Super God Spirit mode and the reverse Super God Spirit mode on a whim if she has been unable to break the world? Han Sen moved quickly. He kept evading Wanner's attacks while thinking. Wanner, who was able to switch between the two powers freely, had become stronger. On top of that, two of her powers were strong enough to resist Han Sen's own Super God Spirit mode. Han Sen's situation had definitely taken a turn for the worse. Seeing Wanner slash again, Han Sen had nowhere to fall back to. There was a subtle glint of coldness under Han Sen's eyelids. The presence of his body changed. There was a very primal, scary power coming out of his body. It generated a sword light on the inch gray sword. It carried a destructive power that was unleashed in Wanner's direction. The reverse version of the story of Jean's power was the scariest type of destructive power there was. With the indestructible inch gray sword and Han Sen's super spank skill, this was going to be the greatest and most powerful attack Han Sen had ever cast. Catcha! The inch gray sword struck Wanner's hand like a saw striking metal. Sparks erupted everywhere, scattering light all around. If one looked closer, one would notice where the inch gray sword was. It was not actually Wanner's hand. Han Sen had aimed at the black crystal ring she was wearing. Han Sen had been watching Wanner quite a bit. He sensed something was wrong with her. In the end, he decided to lock onto that ring. Although the ring had never revealed its presence, Han Sen knew for sure there had to be something wrong with it. Eventually, the black crystal ring was broken by the sword power unleashed via Han Sen's inch gray sword. It fell off of Qin Wanner's finger. It was split in two. When the black crystal ring shattered and broke, Qin Wanner looked shocked. She stood where she was in shock. The gold light around her started to go dim. Her blonde hair started to look black. Was it discovered so soon? Oh well, that is fine. He is someone Wanner is close to. Maybe he knows that already. Qin Xiu spoke to himself, but his eyes did not shift. It was like he had already expected Han Sen to break the black crystal ring. Mister, should we open the portal and take Miss Wanner back? Sky King came before Qin Xiu and bowed. After Wanner entered Burning Red Sky, she did not trigger the Sky Theft fight sequence. Sky King used his 33 Skies spirit body and power to send Wanner to Burning Red Sky. Aside from Qin Xiu and Sky King, Only the people in Burning Red Sky could witness the events unfolding in Burning Red Sky. No, Qinxiu coldly said. He was still staring at the spirit mirror Sky King had opened. He peered into Burning Red Sky. Han Sen watched the blonde Wanner turn back into the black-haired Wanner. He was feeling happy. Suddenly, the black crystal ring, which had been broken, arose. It did so with a cloud of black smoke. It became a black smoke that drifted toward Wanner. Run! Han Sen's eyes and hands were swift. He palmed the black smoke. The hollow structure of the ice jade field blocked the black smoke's approach. Pang! In the next second, the black smoke broke the ice jade shield. It went in front of Wanner and drilled into her mouth. Han Sen's looked glum, but it did not seem as if there was anything he could do to stop it. He stopped hesitating and slashed toward Wanner's neck. He wanted to stop this entire thing before the black smoke reached her belly. Wanner was frozen. Her body strangely fell back. Her movements were very weird. Her body did not move. She went backward like a ghost. As she slid, Han Sen missed with his inch-gray sword. When Han Sen looked at Wanner's face, he noticed her eyes were entirely black. She looked scarier than any ghost possibly could. She looked far scarier than the eye color she had before when she was blonde. Han Sen gripped the inch-gray sword. He wanted to swing the sword and attack, but he saw Wanner sprout two god lights from her back. It tore the clothes on her back like a flying butterfly. Those two gold and silver god lights were like two wings spreading behind Wanner's body. They created a scary spirit light. Super God Spirit Body and Reverse Super God Spirit Body exist in the same body, but she has not been able to break the world. Yet, there is no conflict. How is something like this even possible? Han Sen looked at Wanner's sky-shocking skylight wings. His eyes narrowed. Wanner was adorned with shocking skylight wings. Because of those light wings, one part of her body was shining with a gold aura, whereas the other half of her body was white like ice. Her eyes, which had been overtaken by black pupils, were now staring at Han Senator. They looked weirdly ghost-like. Is Qinxiu mad? What did he do to Wanner? Han Sen frowned. Based on the way Qinxiu supposedly loved Wanner, the man should not have done anything that would negatively impact Wanner. What was happening to Wanner now was far too weird. He could not think of a reason as to why Qinxiu would turn Wanner into something like this. Han Sen did not know that since he had turned Wanner into the black-haired mode, Wanner had been missing Han Sen a lot. She consistently spoke highly about Han Sen in his absence. Qinxiu did not say anything about it to her. He remained very gentle toward Wanner, but he still used some intense methods to make her revert to her blonde mode. Qinxiu was going to finish Han Sen off so that he could be the sole recipient of Wanner's love. He was unable to accept her holding someone else more important than him in their heart. Wanner was now floating in the air. The back of her wings were shaking. She put her hands together. She looked like a praying angel. Wanner's face had no depiction of faith or liveliness. She stared at Han Sen and looked at him in an extremely cold way. When she put her hands together, a strange sort of light manifested. It did not belong to her Super God Spirit Body or her Reverse Super God Spirit Body. Is that a break world power? That does not seem right. Han Sen looked at Wanner's hands and felt a weird power moving. After his Super God Spirit Body managed to break the world, it had become a pure Super Spirit God Body that could not break anything in the world. He would, however, not receive damage from anything in the world. The power in Wanner's hands was not a spirit power. Even so, it still had elements of the Super God Spirit Body's power and elements of the Reverse Super God Spirit Body's power. Does a Super God Spirit Body have another way of breaking the world? Han Sen looked at Wanner's hands with intrigue. Her hands, he noted, were strongly glowing. This power was almost transparent, but it was not a spirit power. Upon looking at Wanner's hands, he saw that there was a transparent sort of power rising. After her hands adopted this sort of transparent power, they turned crystal clear. When the transparent power started to spread, her entire body, including the light wings behind her, took on the form of transparent crystals. Wanner now looked like a transparent crystal statue. It was only her eyes that were different. They had remained black. If one did not look closer, one would have thought she was just a pair of strange black eyes floating in the air. It was only after looking closer that would one see her body was transparent. Does the super god spirit body have another way of breaking the world? Han Sen was incredibly shocked by what he was witnessing. Wanner was breaking the world, and she was breaking the world in a completely different way. The two of them had both used a super god spirit body to break the world, yet two different super god spirit powers were created. Han Sen did not know if his super god spirit body's break world power was correct or if it was hers. Either way, Wanner was releasing a scary presence that put Han Sen on high alert. When Wanner parted her hands, Han Sen felt a flare of goosebumps overwhelm his body. He quickly sensed that something bad was going to happen. He did not hesitate. He immediately engaged his super god spirit body's break world mode. He put on his break world body. In the next moment, Han Sen saw Wanner's hand on his chest. She was so fast that he had been unable to dodge her move. Han Sen was watching that nearly transparent, weird hand thrust through his chest. It went right through his body. When Wanner pulled back her hand, Han Sen noticed a hole had been created in his spirit body. He had been severely damaged. Her break world power can even deal harm to my pure spirit body. Han Sen quickly moved his body. While he was moving, the damaged spirit body reverted to normal. Wanner looked at Han Sen weirdly. In the next moment, her strange body moved again. This time, Han Sen was prepared. He peered at her body with an intense gaze, hoping to be able to predict her next attack. Even so, when Wanner raised her hand, it once again fired through Han Sen's body. Han Sen now knew that he couldn't avoid Wanner's attacks. He ignored his damaged spirit body, gathered up all of his power, and tried to throw a punch at Wanner's strange body. Han Sen felt his fist thrust into what felt like liquid. There was so much resistance that it was like he was punching a rock. When his fist went inside Wanner's body, he felt that her body was very soft. It was even boneless. It was like he had shoved his fist into water. Boom. Han Sen wanted to pull his fist back out and try to attack other parts of Wanner's body, but he suddenly felt as if he had been electrified. His spirit body was numb and paralyzed. He then felt a force of suction grip him by the fist. He could not draw his fist out of Wanner's body. The strangest part about all of this was that Wanner seemed to be in the same condition as Han Senator. Her body was shaking as if she was being electrified. Her hand, which had been forced through Han Sen's chest, could not be withdrawn. As Qin Xiu watched this scene, his expression became very strange. He asked aloud, "What is happening here?" Han Sen's break world power and Wanner's break world power has created a weird rhythm. Not even Qin Xiu knew what was going on. He had taken the black crystal ring from the black crystal armor. He used the black crystal ring's gene prototype's power to make Wanner break the world. After Wanner managed to break the world, she was exceptionally strong. Not even Qin Xiu would have dared underestimate what she was now capable of. He thought Wanner could defeat Han Sen easily without any trouble. Who would have expected that Han Sen's break world power would create a rhythm alongside Wanner's break world power, and that this was also going to affect Wanner? She was just like Han Senator. She had been robbed of her ability to fight. Sky King opened the path to burning red sky. Qin Xiu did not want Wanner to experience any danger. He gave up on the idea of letting Wanner deal with Han Senator. He was going to go to burning red sky to deal with Han Sen himself. Before Sky King was able to answer, something weird started happening in burning red sky. Han Sen and Wanner's bodies were combining. They were both in front of each other, but their bodies drew closer until they started merging. Face to face like Siamese twins, their bodies kept merging. Before Qin Xiu was able to go to burning red sky, Han Sen and Wanner's bodies had completely combined to become a new person. The process of their two bodies merging seemed to be painful. They raised their heads and roared as it happened. Their bodies released scary powers that suddenly ripped space. They themselves went into space and disappeared. Where did they go? Qin Xiu looked at Sky King with an unhappy gaze. He was more than glum. Sky King's heart jumped. The spirit mirror began to display strange changes. They were no longer in burning red sky. They were actually in another sky. He finally saw Han Sen, who had just combined with the woman. His body broke space and started to soar through many skies. He was racing through the 33 skies. The barriers that separated the 33 skies no longer seemed to exist. They were unable to stop the penetration of that scary body. Within a moment, Han Sen and Wanner's combined body came before the Geno tablet of the 33 skies. He used his body to pass the 33rd sky. Even the leader in the 33rd sky could not do something like that. Qin Xiu was in front of the Geno tablet. He looked at the transparent body that had been breaking through space to get there. He was trying to find out which of the two souls belonged to Wanner. Qin Xiu. A transparent body came before Qin Xiu. It appeared and quickly disappeared. It was similar to a flickering light. It was like it was going to be extinguished yet remain gone forever. Wanner, please speak to me. It pains me to see you endure all this. Qin Xiu looked at the body and asked, Wanner? Oh, Wanner, are you still there? I am. The transparent body seemed to be wrestling with pain. It held its hair and roared. It was going crazy. It threw its fist into the sky. A transparent power exploded in the air. It turned into an invisible shockwave, and it was spreading everywhere. It was destroying everything, including the life souls. Sky King was the first to be affected by the power. With his nearly 100% break world rate, not even he was able to withstand that power. His body was ripped to pieces. He was going to vanish alongside his soul. Boom. Qin Xiu stepped away. The black crystal armor swiftly clad him as he appeared before Sky King. A hand reached out. It was like an invisible wall was coming out of his hands to block the shockwave. Han Sen's will started to control the combined body. He saw Qin Xiu and did not hesitate. He threw a punch forward. An invisible power teleported in front of Qin Xiu. The fist struck Qin Xiu's black crystal armor, making his body slide away. Qin Xiu's face changed. Ever since he had successfully controlled the black crystal armor, he had never been able to feel what it was like for a damaging power to touch him. The strength of Han Sen and Wanner combined surprised him. Before Qin Xiu was able to do anything, Han Sen waved his hand and attacked. He felt as if his entire body was brimming with explosive power. It was like one punch was enough to break the sky and the earth. Qin Xiu froze. He moved his hand and blocked Han Sen's own. Han Sen's body was like a killing machine. He looked at Qin Xiu and used a crazy storm-style attack. Almost every part of his body could do incredible damage, including his finger, hand, fist, elbow, and knees. Any one of those attacks was able to destroy an average God Spirit elite, but these attacks were still able to be blocked by Qin Xiu's hands. His hands were like a wall that was unable to be broken. No matter how strong Han Sen's attacks were, they were insufficient in making him fall back. Qin Xiu, however, could only defend and not attack. Even so, it gave him the chance to watch Han Senator because his body was not entirely Han Sen since Wanner was still somewhere inside. Qin Xiu did not want to attack. Han Sen, on the other hand, did not care. He felt his body power was exploding. He was like a volcano that could erupt at any second. If he did not release the power he had now, he felt as if he was going to blow up. Plus, he was starting to feel as if there was a power encouraging him. It made him really want to break the black crystal armor. It was like a moth drawn to a fire. Qin Xiu kept blocking Han Sen's attacks and coldly said, Han Sen, leave Wanner's body alone, and I will permit you to live. Han Sen did not say anything in response. He felt as if the power that came from his body was enough to melt his own body. He had to keep going. He had to keep fighting so that he could release the power and make his body feel better. Pang! He landed another punch on Qin Xiu's hand. This time, the power sent Qin Xiu back half a step. The black crystal armor developed a swirl on it. Qin Xiu frowned. The power of Han Sen and Wanner combined was already greater than he expected it to be. When Han Sen attacked again, Qin Xiu moved. He evaded Han Sen's fist and appeared behind him. He grabbed Han Sen by the neck with his arms. He used a scary power to immobilize Han Sen's body. His foe was unable to move. Qin Xiu was behind Han Sen, coldly talking to him. I demand that you leave Wanner's body now. This is the last chance I am willing to give you. Otherwise, I will end your life. Really? Han Sen's body flashed away. He vanished from the area, which resulted in Qin Xiu's power being thrown wide. When Han Sen's body appeared again, he was above Qin Xiu's head. His legs were like a bat leak striking down. Qin Xiu raised his hands to block Han Sen's strike. A scary power created a swirl in space. The universal cogwheels were broken by the destruction. Han Sen's body kept flickering. When he vanished, Qin Xiu's power could no longer lock onto him. The two of them fought like mad. The 33 skies kept shaking. Aside from the Geno tablet, there were no substances that could withstand their attacks. Han Sen knew Qin Xiu's power was scary, but he did not expect him to be that terrifying. He and Warner had combined. The power that exploded was greater than what he had. Qin Xiu still seemed fine dealing with it, though. Han Sen even found himself thinking that if it was not for Qin Xiu's fear concerning Warner's welfare, his situation would have been much worse. In fact, Han Sen did not know Qin Xiu was actually feeling more shocked than he was. Qin Xiu was strong, but the reason he was so strong was because of the black crystal armor. The combined body of Han Sen and Warner was just pure body power, and it was now fighting him. Qin Xiu understood that when he was at his strongest, he could not be like that. This kind of body power is able to make the first step by using the body. Qin Xiu's eyes looked cold. If that power belonged to Warner, Qin Xiu was willing to give up. He would have done anything to help Qin Warner. Now, half of the power belonged to Han Sen, who had asserted control of the body. When Qin Xiu thought of that, his eyes turned even colder. Qin Xiu's body was like a ghost. Han Sen's attacks were like thunder. They created a storm all around. Even so, the rage was unable to move Qin Xiu. Since he was wrapped up by the black armor, it was like he was walking around extinguishing Han Sen's attacks and rendering them absolutely futile. Although Han Sen moved his weird body to the max, he was unable to achieve breakthrough success. He was still unable to deal damage to Qin Xiu. Qin Xiu's eyes looked frozen. The black crystal armor became smaller. His hands were thrust into the sky. The black crystal armor that wrapped up his fist started to produce a black halo. Pang! Han Sen emerged from the nothingness. He was punched in the chest. That punch made Han Sen stumble back, but he was not injured by it. Beneath the force of that punch, the black crystal armor that clad Qin Xiu's fist actually cracked. It was like it had adopted a new life. It was becoming many black crystal shards. They locked onto Han Sen with the intent to pepper him with holes. Suddenly, Han Sen's body was wrapped up by black crystal pieces. Han Sen wanted to rush out and escape the black crystal armor's binding technique. Despite being a shadow, his body was unable to escape the black crystal armor's trap. Qin Xiu looked at the prison armor and spoke to Han Sr. It is pointless. This Geno armor was created by a Geno prototype. The gene messages of the entire world are in here. The power of the entire world resides within it. In this world, there exists no type of power that can prove a threat to it. Han Sen did not believe what he was being told. He kept using his powers to try and escape. Despite the strength he exerted, the black crystal armor was unaffected. The power that was able to destroy the sky and the earth was just a wave upon a sea for the black crystal armor. It was the same black crystal armor, but Han Sen did not feel the black crystal armor was the same one he used to own. Han Senator, oh, Han Senator, ever a pest, aren't you? But aren't I ever gracious? Qin Xiu coldly said, I am going to make you that offer one more time, and I recommend that you take it. It is far greater than you deserve. Why don't you remove yourself from your weird connection with Warner and let her body be free? Do that, and I can allow you to live. You think you know me, but I can assure you that you don't. I have never accepted a life that is given through the mercy of others. I never have, and I never will. Han Sen's power kept exploding. His power was becoming stronger. The black crystal armor that wrapped him up became bigger, but it never fell away from him. Qin Xiu coldly said, I have already told you that the Geno prototype is the origin of the world. The power that exists in this world, no matter how much your power changes, comes from this. You cannot overcome this power. There are only two powers that can affect it. One power enables a reboot of the universe, which is something only a reboot class God Spirit can do. Even if your break world rate reaches 100%, you cannot be a reboot class God Spirit and enable a universe reboot. Even if the universe reboots, you cannot break the Geno prototype. There is a power inside it that transcends the world. It is something greater than the world. You need something greater than that to break the Geno prototype. It is a shame no one possesses such a power. Han Sen did not speak. He just wanted to madly explode his power. He felt his body surge with many powerful powers. For some reason, he could not express them. Qin Xiu saw that Han Sen was refusing to speak, so he started to look me. He stopped talking. He put his hand on Han Sen's head, which made the black crystal armor develop a black and weird light. Qin Xiu looked into Han Sen's eyes and spoke each word sternly. Leave Wanner's body. This is your last chance. Only Han Sen's power answered him. His black crystal armor was bloated. It made a walla sound. Even so, it still imprisoned his body. Qin Xiu did not speak. His eyes looked strange. The black crystal armor had a weird substance chain light. It made the black crystal armor, which was wrapping up Han Sen, start to flicker. The black crystal armor that wrapped up Han Sen became smaller. It trapped Han Sen's body. It made Han Sen feel as if countless needles were pricking him deep within his nerves. It was like all these needles were madly sucking the substances out of him. You used to have the Geno prototype armor, Qin Xiu coldly said. It is such a shame you were never able to become its master. You will never know its true power. Let me show you its power now. Han Sen finally spoke. No matter how grand this Geno prototype armor is, it is not your work. How can you speak so boisterously? Qin Xiu coldly laughed. It looks like you already know where this Geno prototype armor comes from. Yes, this Geno prototype armor belonged to the God Chaos Party's old leader. It is the greatest armor to ever exist in the entire universe. With this armor, the God Chaos Party leader was able to battle the Geno Hall. It could have even allowed him to be above the Geno Hall. God Chaos Party leader depended on the Geno tablet, Han Sen said. It looks like what you truly know is quite limited, Qin Xiu said. The Geno tablet is an item designed to replace the Geno Hall. It is powerful, but it was never meant to be used by one person. It was a tool used to control the main and reverse universes. It is a sign of power. I see. Han Sen felt the power in his body be taken by the black crystal armor. This kind of action did not actually drain his power. It made him feel how strong his body was. After the power was sucked away, it made the power inside his body become vast. It was sort of like an endless sea. Qin Xiu's body of black crystal armor flickered with the lights of a mysterious spell. The spell kept appearing like countless codes flickering. Qin Xiu's eyes looked very evil. He wanted to steal Han Sen's gene message and remove it from his body. That way, only Wanner would remain. This was the black crystal armor's unique power. Aside from the black crystal armor, there was no other power that could analyze the gene messages of creatures. Only the black crystal armor could do this. After Qin Xiu took Han Sen's gene messages, the power of the black crystal armor kept calculating. It did not stop. How is that possible? Qin Xiu was shocked. The Geno prototype armor was a gene base for the universe. Even the genes of spirits resided within it. It could not just analyze the gene message of a creature. Even the whole evolution of a race could be seen by it. Now, the Geno prototype armor was still madly analyzing. It was like Han Sen had too many body messages. It was going to be overloaded. They still could not analyze things. Qin Xiu started to frown. His face looked miserable. As he did so, he felt something stir and jump in the middle of his soul. By all accounts, it made Qin Xiu's face look even more unpleasant. Damn it! The black crystal armor on Qin Xiu's body was madly spinning. It was uncontrollable. Catcha! There were cracks all over Han Sen's armor. Within them, a familiar power existed. It is her. Han Sen was able to sense what that familiar power was. It was the presence he experienced when he had the Geno prototype armor. When that will win a Han Sen's black crystal armor, the black crystal armor that surrounded Han Sen kept exuding a weird sort of power. It turned into something that could help Han Sen. Han Sen was very happy about this. He quickly gathered power and threw a punch at Qin Xiu ahead of him. Qin Xiu accepted the strike, which sent his body flying through the air and into space. His body flew back 400 miles before it started to descend. Qin Xiu froze. He looked at Han Sen with a look of disbelief. Rather, he was not even really looking at Han Senator, he was looking at the black crystal armor Han Sen was wearing. Chaos, did you give up fighting me with the Geno prototype for him? Qin Xiu looked shocked as he stopped all movements. He started to look mad. He stared at Han Sen and the black crystal armor. Han Sen's black crystal armor disassembled. After it fell off of him, it recomposed itself. It rebuilt itself as a bodiless black crystal armor that seemed more fitting for a woman. The black crystal armor was now the same as the one Han Sen knew in the beginning, except the armor now looked livelier. The woman in the black crystal armor looked at Qin Xiu and said, "Oh, you are the worst villain I have ever had the displeasure of dealing with. Your actions never make any sense, and you just force your way into places you shouldn't belong, raising the stupid stakes. After everything, now you're just moaning and moaning. Why are you moaning? Isn't this what you wanted? Haven't you always wanted this and everything going on in this place? Well, now you have it." After that, the woman in the black crystal armor looked at Han Sen and commented, "Han Sen, would you look at that? We meet again. Are you the leader of the God Chaos Party?" Although Han Sen already knew her identity, he still asked the question. "I am Chaos," she said. "You have my will. You have seen the remnant of my soul. You should already know me." Han Sen wished to say something. Before he could, Chaos went on to say, "Now is not the time for talk. You and I should kill him now. If we do this now, it will be the best chance we have." Before Han Sen said anything, Qin Xiu was already coldly saying, "Chaos, you relinquished your control of the Geno prototype. Do you really think you can beat me with your measly amount of power?" "I can't, but together we can," Chaos said. Her body went to Han Senator. The black crystal armor wrapped up Han Sen's body. As the black crystal armor wrapped up Han Sen, Chaos' voice was in Han Sen's brain. "Let me handle your body. This body has an incredible amount of power. With my control power, along with using this body, we can kill Qin Xiu, who has the Geno prototype armor. That way, we can prevent the need for Bauer to fight him." "Sure. What do you need me to do?" Han Sen had no doubts about letting Chaos do what was needed to protect Bauer. "Just let your body go. Allow me to control all of this." Chaos's voice echoed through Han Sen's brain again. Han Sen's body madly shook. It combined with the black crystal armor. The black armor suddenly looked transparent like Han Sen's body did. It was like a diamond glowing with a godlight. Han Sen felt his will clearly. He could control his body, but his body was also being controlled by a different will. That felt particularly amazing. It was like playing a video game when one used two controllers to control one character. Even so, it was a bit different from that. Han Sen was not controlling anything, but he felt everything the body was feeling. Qin Xiu seemed to sense he was now a major threat. He looked very serious. The black crystal armor's power started to spin and push his power to the max. "Ah, Chaos. Tut tut tut. Chaos. You silly, silly girl. You naughty, naughty girl. You always were bold, but I fear I have always held you in higher regard than you deserve. It turns out you are pretty naive if you think that petty body has what it takes to defeat me and the Geno prototype I look awesome wearing." Qin Xiu's body grew stronger. Space around was affected by his power, and it all started to twist. Countless weird scenes were around him, creating something like a mirage. Chaos coldly said, "You are the naive one. I created the Geno prototype armor. No one can understand it more than I, but you do not know how scary this body is." "So what? Even if your body is really strong, do you really think he can break through the last stage?" Qin Xiu looked at her with disdain. "Everything is possible," Chaos coldly said. She then stepped forward. Her step made it seem like the whole world was following her feet. That transparent power was going for Qin Xiu. "You created the Geno prototype armor, but there is only one person who can push its power to the max. That person is me." Qin Xiu looked cold. He did not falter or take a step back. His body surged with an incredible black power. The two powers collided in the 33rd sky. The whole of the 33rd sky became a half-black and a half-transparent weird world. "You are right," Chaos said. "Only you can push the power of the Geno prototype armor to the max, but it is a shame you have not achieved that yet. You have the Geno prototype armor, but your body is not reboot class yet. You yourself have not made that last step. So today, you will only die. You will not be reincarnated." She took another step forward. Catcha! The half-black world started to collapse and break when Chaos stepped forward. Chaos kept walking toward Qin Xiu. With every step she took, The black power collapsed a lot. Qin Shio's power kept exploding, but he could not prevent chaos from walking forward. How is that possible? Is there a body that can take such steps? Qin Shio's face started to change, but he suddenly smiled again. He said to himself, "It is no wonder this is Wanner." Qin Shio died. Chaos was not going to permit Qin Shio to have another chance. She stepped forward. All of the dark power collapsed. Qin Shio's black crystal armor displayed many cracks. It looked like it could collapse at any second. Chaos's fist was being thrust toward Qin Shio's skull. It felt like the whole world relied on that one punch. It carried an incredible power. Qin Shio was suppressed by the power of the whole world, but his body was still standing very straight. He had no fear. He smiled and closed his eyes. "Chaos, to be able to kill me, it won't be you. Only Wanner can kill me in this world. I owe her that much. Just die already." Chaos did not move. The punch was still madly going toward him. Bzzd. When Chaos's punch was about to hit Qin Shio's head, it suddenly stopped. Chaos's body started to shake. Oh no! Han Sen sensed what was going on. It was Wanner's will. The body did not just belong to Han Senator, it belonged to Wanner too, who was Qin Shio's little sister. This girl had given up so much for Qin Shio, so she was not going to let her body be the one to kill Qin Shio.
Bang.
Following the strong will, Han Sen's body started to dissolve. Han Sen, Wanner, and Chaos split into 3 separate entities. They all flew in different directions. The scary power suddenly vanished. Qin Shio looked cold. The black crystal armor started again. It was like a devil in front of Han Sen aiming at his forehead. Han Sen still kept his pure spirit body mode engaged. His heart jumped. He wanted to break the rules of the universe and reduce the restrictions. Unfortunately, the black crystal armor's power could control a pure spirit body. The whole of space was not trapped. Han Sen's spirit body was unable to leave. He knew this was a life-or-death moment. Without hesitation, Han Sen gnashed his teeth and exited his pure spirit mode. His xenogenic battle body madly exploded with power. The Dongxian armor wrapped up his body. The story of genes broke the world and created a white flame that hastily wreathed his body. The blood pulse sutra boiled in his blood. Jade skin unleashed its frosting chill. Han Sen gunned his power to the max and threw a punch at Qin Shio's finger. The finger touched down on the tip of his finger. It led to Han Sen being petrified. His power was uncontrollably going forth to strike Qin Shio. Qin Shio looked at Han Sen coldly. "I already told you that the Geno prototype armor is an origin point of the whole universe. No matter how much you change it, for as long as it is in the rules of the universe, you will be restricted by the Geno prototype armor. If I want you to live, you will live. If I want to see you die, you will die." Even though Qin Shio said that, he didn't have to. Han Sen knew it all too well. He used to have a Geno prototype armor. He used the Geno prototype armor to evolve creatures and beast souls. It did not cost him any energy to do that either. Now that he thought about it some more, if it was not the universe's origin that could wrap up every gene message in the universe, he could not have done that. While Han Sen was staring down this immense power, it was very hard for him to deal with it. "If you want to suck it, I will let you suck it." Han Sen did not fall back. Instead, he moved forward. His long hair was flying. His entire battle body went mad. He absorbed his power, trying to shake Qin Shio away. The black crystal armor spells were floating. No matter how powerful Han Sen's strength was, it was going to be absorbed by the black crystal armor. The stronger Han Sen became, the stronger the black crystal armor would become. The black crystal armor was like a monster that could keep on evolving. Any power that landed on it would be nutritious, and it would work to make it bigger. Han Sen's power did not harm him. All he could achieve was making the black crystal armor stronger, lending aid to Qin Shio. Even though this occurred in a single, small moment in time, Han Sen felt his body become empty. It was like he was going to be sucked dry. Qin Shio said, "For you to be able to evolve to this level, I have to confess that you aren't all that bad. Considering the fact that you looked after Wanner for me in the past, I will give you the ability to reincarnate. Next time, don't make yourself my enemy." He then raised his other hand. It turned into a fist. He aimed at Han Sen's head as he launched it. No! Suddenly, There was a scream. A person had managed to rush there and shield Han Senator. It was Warner, who had been separated from Han Sen. Warner's body was looking very clear. It was starting to go back to black. It was clearly the witch Warner's will that was suppressing Qin Warner's will. It was taking over and becoming the primary. Brother Qin Xiu, I beg you. Please, do not hurt big brother. Let him go. If you do not like it so much, I will make sure I never see him again. Warner was in front of Han Senator. She kept begging. Upon seeing all the tears roll down Warner's cheeks, Qin Xiu lowered his fist. He suddenly looked rather soft. He stroked Warner's hair and said, Warner, if you like him so much, I would do anything for you. After that, Qin Xiu put back the finger that was against Han Sen's fist. He held Warner's waist. He took her with him and fled. Brother Qin Xiu, I thank you. I will listen to you from now on, Warner said. She went back to Han Sen and shouted, Quick! Leave! Leave and never come back. Qin Xiu softly pulled Warner away with him as he said, Let's go, Warner. When Warner turned back, Qin Xiu's other hand cast a silent power. He had collected it for so long, but he suddenly launched a fist toward Han Sen, who was now in the air. Han Sen was not as naive as Warner. He knew Qin Xiu was not going to just let him go. He saw that beam of light, which was made of countless black spells, come silently for him. He had to gnash his teeth and explode the leftover power he had in the welcome of the nasty light. The silent power exploded in the air. The whole world looked as if it had been disturbed by that mysterious power. Warner was being held by Qin Xiu, but she moved. She was not able to feel the power floating. She did not realize the disaster that was happening behind her. Qin Xiu quickly took her out of the 33rd sky. Catcha! Catcha! Han Sen's Dongxian armor was starting to crack under the duress of that scary power. His muscles and bones were being torn apart. His powerful xenogeneic battle body could not withstand the scary attack. A black light came from space. It was the black crystal armor Chaos had. It suddenly clad Han Sen's body with a strange type of power that fought back the scary power alongside Han Sen. Chaos herself was just a spirit, and she had given up the Geno prototype armor. She did not have much power, and Han Sen was weak. With the two of their powers, they could not block the scary attacks. All the bones in Han Sen's body were moaning and crying. The black crystal armor started to crack more and more. It seemed as if it was going to break. I am going to die. Han Sen felt his body break. He roared and adopted his super god spirit body's break world shape to try and survive the onslaught. He suddenly felt a power inside his body. That power was very weird. He suddenly reversed everything. Qin Xiu's scary attack suddenly became a nice beam of light. Ultimate egg. Han Sen felt some sort of power inside him. The ultimate egg had not moved for a long time. Han Sen thought he had refined it already. Now, he was able to notice the ultimate egg was still in his body. It was spinning fast, unleashing a weird sort of power. Is that thing inside you? You are lucky. Let us escape now. Chaos was surprised by this too, but she still hurried Han Sen to leave. Han Sen did not dare hesitate. He dragged his weakened body to employ the super god spirit mode, break the world, and leave the 33 skies. He had the ultimate egg. Qin Xiu frowned. Looking back in the 33rd sky's direction, Qin Xiu was not looking too well. Seeing Warner hold his arm, the corners of his eyes trembled. He gave up on going back to the 33rd sky. The Geno prototype armor is mine now. I will be able to kill them whenever. They can live for a few more days. Qin Xiu looked calm, but he still sent a message. The scary creatures that obeyed Qin Xiu received Qin Xiu's messages. They went on the move. Han Sen was forced to break his way out of the 33 skies. He used his identity as the leader of the Burning Red Sky to return to Burning Red Sky. Dad! Bauer saw Han Sen and immediately ran up to him. Bauer, let's go. Han Sen picked up Bauer and readied himself to leave Burning Red Sky. Before they could leave, many space tunnels opened in Burning Red Sky. They looked similar to black holes. Many scary creatures were coming through the black holes. Han Sen, we meet again. A weird voice sounded. Han Sen saw a shoot shadow of the God Chaos Party emerge from a black hole. The people accompanying him a few of God Chaos Party's elders. One of them was Rocky D, with whom Han Sen was already quite familiar. Han Sen ignored Shoot Shadow's presence. He grabbed Bauer and used his identity as the Burning Red Sky's leader to leave Burning Red Sky. He soon heard a scary beast make a roaring noise. The whole of Burning Red Sky started to shake and shiver. Space seemed all wrong. Han Sen was unable to leave Burning Red Sky. A break world beast that looked like a real dragon entered the place from a warp in space. Wherever it went, space was twisted. Its giant body appeared in Burning Red Sky. Its presence affected the entire space of Burning Red Sky, trapping it and everything else in there. Han Sen, you should just die. You have been able to prompt the whole God Chaos Party to send out this many elites, so be proud. Your death will be a noble one. Shoot Shadow looked at Han Sen with an expression of pride smearing his face. I might not be the one that ends up dead, Han Sen said while putting Bauer down. If it isn't you, are you suggesting it will be me? Shoot Shadow laughed as if it was a funny joke. Yes, it will be you. Shoot Shadow had only just finished speaking when he heard a cold sound come from behind. Shoot Shadow obviously wanted to turn around and see who it was, but a paper knife came swinging down. His vision started to roll as his head flew into the sky. His dead face had an expression of disbelief. The other God Chaos Party elders looked shocked. They saw Rocky D murder Shoot Shadow. Mister, allow me to handle this. Han Sen, you take the master ahead and leave first. Rocky D put his right hand against his chest as he bowed before Han Senator. He then turned around and faced all the creatures with his paper knife. Han Sen knew Rocky D was not bowing to him. It was the black crystal armor he had on. He was bowing to the leader of the God Chaos Party. He knew Rocky D would probably end up dead, but Han Sen was in a weakened condition. Even if he fought alongside Rocky D, he would probably end up dying with him. Han Sen did not say anything. He picked up Bauer and used the last of his power to break space and leave. The scary break world beast that looked like a real dragon roared. It was trying to consume Han Sen. Almost at the same time, many break world beasts rushed there too. Rocky D's eyes looked cold. His hands opened. Paper appeared like snowflakes. His 10 fingers became pairs of scissors. They crossed each other. The paper looked like a blizzard as he made loads many silhouettes. The silhouettes turned into many scary creatures that could battle with the break world beasts. They blocked most of the advancing break world beasts. A God Chaos Party elder coldly questioned Rocky D. Rocky D, how dare you become an enemy of the leader? Do you even know what you are doing? Rocky D's lips were crooked at a very disdainful angle. In his eyes, there was only one leader for the God Chaos Party, Chaos. After that, Rocky D swung his paper knife and went straight to the break world beasts that were rushing in like a mad tide. If you want to die, I cannot help you. The God Chaos Party elder looked cold as he waved his hands. Many more break world beasts came charging at Rocky D. Han Sen gnashed his teeth. He did not look at the fight that was behind him. Even though he did not look back, he could imagine what it looked like. Out of the way. Han Sen gathered the last of his strength to throw a punch at the real dragon-looking break world beast. With the skills of his super spank, a powerful power broke the break world beast's massive body. His punch punctured the fiend and created a big and bloody hole in its chest. Han Sen used that impact crater to cut through the break world beast's body and escape the 33 skies. Sky King was helping Qin Xiu, who was a son of the 33 skies. The 33 skies were no longer a safe place for Han Sen to be in. He would only be able to survive if he got out of the 33 skies. Before Han Sen was able to get out of Burning Red Sky, a body suddenly blocked his way. I am one of the 4 kings of the God Chaos Party, Ichi. I will be taking your life. The shadow came before him. Time felt as if it stopped before that man. Han Sen shockingly noticed his body seemed to be moving despite nothing around him changing. It was like all of space was frozen around him. The voice of chaos started to speak in Han Sen's mind. That is a time element break world creature. Its break world rate is almost 100%. Only by using a Geno prototype armor can you make a break world creature like that. Han Sen felt glum. His power was almost all drained. He did not have the juice needed to deal with a top-class break world beast. Time is like my needle, Ichi coldly said. Thousands of years of time reside in my fingers. Your time and existence will be erased by my hands. You will vanish from the river of time." He waved his fingers. Han Sen felt as if time around him was freezing. It was as if he had fallen into a place where time did not advance, and everything remained still. Suddenly, Han Sen felt space become lively again. Things started to move. What is going on? Han Sen was shocked. He suddenly heard a voice. "Do you want to play with time? You are very far from being able to. Before me, no one else can control time." A long shadow appeared out of the river of time. It seemed very slow, but it was very fast. The shadow walked past Han's senator. Wherever she went, the frozen time returned to its ordinary flow. It was like a river of ice was being melted. Moment God. Han Sen looked at the proud shadow. He was shocked. This moment God was not the one in the God of Wealth temple. This was the moment God that was one of the 12 annihilation class God spirits. Han Sen would have never guessed that moment God would show up now, seemingly with a desire to aid him. "What are you looking at? Do you want me to throw you into an endless time loop?" Moment God did not look back or look at Han Sen. "Thank you." Han Sen did not know why Moment God had shown up to help him, but now was not the time to talk. He picked Bauer up and left. "Stop." Ichi looked dim. He wanted to stop Han's senator when he moved. Moment God stopped him. "Do not die yet," Moment God said. "I am the one that is supposed to kill you." Han Sen was finally able to escape the burning red sky. Outside the 33 skies, even more beasts were coming. They were like a tide consuming all of space. Suddenly, the whole place was very bright. A sharp light lit up the entire universe. Within its brightest part, one was not able to see anything. "I am in the light looking for darkness. Under the holiness, things might be dirty. Perhaps that is the final compromise." Within the light, a goddess revealed herself. She was shining a trail through the stars. Light goddess. Han Sen was shocked by her sudden appearance. He was already still reeling from the surprise of Moment God coming to help him. He did not expect Light Goddess would also appear. "Now, watch my amazing attempt at humor. For I want you to start calling me Dark Goddess." Light Goddess displayed an evil smile. She was glowing. Suddenly, all that was bright went dark. The entire world was plunged into darkness. Without the dark, there can be no light. If you follow the light, you will be led to where you want to go. As he heard the voice of Light Goddess, Han Sen knew he had a spirit light for guidance. He listened to Light Goddess's voice and went to the light. The whole world was dark. The break world beasts that looked like a tide could not see where Han Sen was. They were like headless flies hitting each other. They were even going so far as to kill each other. "Light Goddess, save your game. In front of me, your light world is useless." A mean voice emerged from the black, tinting the void. It was a red, Kirin-like gene race. Its body was wreathed by a red light. Wherever it went, everything was dyed red. The break world beasts in the dark could not see anything before, but they could now see that which was colored red. It was not like a real graphic, but it enabled them to find out just where Han Sen was. Shock wave! Before Han Sen could react, a giant-looking strong body was standing behind him. A godly voice came down, punching into space. The whole of space felt as if it had been rocked by a tsunami. The group of break world beasts was punched. They flew into space. Suddenly, the entire area became one huge vacuum zone. Crazy Battle God. Han Sen recognized the god spirit's shadow. It was one of the 12 annihilation class god spirits called Crazy Battle God. "Go!" Crazy Battle God did not look back. His strong body was like a big wall blocking the break world beasts that came. Roaring sounds were heard all over the place. "Thanks." Han Sen did not know why the god spirits were all deciding to help him, but there was no time left to waste. He bid his thanks and flew away. "I would not advise you to get ahead of yourself. Do not think too much about what we are doing here today. It will only disappoint you." "Why?" "Well, for one, we are not here to save you." A cold voice was heard. Empty God appeared behind Han's senator. He was holding a golden arrow in space. If he did not have the golden arrow, Han Sen's spine would have been severed. Han Sen developed a wry smile as he shook his head. He broke space and kept on going until he was finally away from the crowd of break world beasts. The 33 skies were in chaos. Han Sen could see 6 Annihilation-class main gods do battle with the break world beasts. A voice sounded in Han Sen's head. Go. Bauer's body has her father's blood. Even half of the Geno Hall's blood will permit Bauer to fall into Qin Xiu's hands. By doing that, Qin Xiu will stir, wake up, and come to understand Bauer's true identity. We should just leave. Do you mind telling me where we're going after we leave? Han Sen asked. With Qin Xiu's power being what it was, he could not think of a place to hide. Qin Xiu would want to kill him. The sanctuaries, Chaos said. By going to the sanctuaries, we will be able to buy ourselves some time. Qin Xiu is already in control of the Geno prototype armor, but his body has not been rebooted yet. Before that happens, he does not have the power to make the last step. This whole last step thing has been mentioned more than a few times, Han Sen said. It would be nice if someone took the time out to explain what it is to me. Can you tell me what the last step is? Now is not the time to talk, Chaos said. Right now, we should just go to the sanctuaries in case Qin Xiu finds out about Bauer. Han Sen had to take Bauer back to the sanctuaries. The two universes had been fighting for so long, but peace had been able to prosper in the sanctuaries. There was wind there, and there was sunshine there. It was like nothing had happened. Han Sen used galaxy teleportation and returned to his home in the Alliance. He sat his butt down and did not want to get up ever again. He had spent too much power had. In the end, he risked his life to use galaxy teleportation. Bauer stood next to Han Senator. Her big eyes stared at his black crystal armor. Catcha! The black crystal armor broke. It fell away from Han Sen to recompose itself in the shape of a woman's set of armor. She proceeded to touch Bauer on the head. Bauer was confused, but she did not avoid her. Chaos, what is going on? Han Sen sat on the floor, gasping. Chaos shrugged with her shoulders and said, Nothing. I did something. Qin Xiu knows and should be called Human Alpha. Something has made him really mad. He is so mad that he will want to kill Bauer and not just me. Han Sen looked at Chaos with a conflicted look. He did not know what Chaos did to Human Alpha to make him reincarnate many times yet still go on with the desire for killing her daughter. Killing people's children was not something beyond Qin Xiu's capacity for evil. If it was not entirely necessary, Qin Xiu might not go through with it. Do not look at me like that. It is not solely my fault. Back in the day, Bauer's father, Chaos, seemed to know she had exposed a buried secret. She changed the subject by saying, You just need to know that Qin Xiu will not let Bauer go. You and Warner combined can defeat Qin Xiu while he has not completed the final step, but Warner has a strong connection with Qin Xiu. Using her to break Qin Xiu seems like it would be impossible. Before that can happen, Qin Xiu will not give you another chance. In that case, what do you think we should do next? Han Sen asked. It depends entirely on Bauer. Only she can beat Qin Xiu now. Chaos looked lovingly at Bauer and touched her head again. She seemed rather sad. The chance you speak of cannot be the gourd seed, can it? Han Sen asked with a weird look. Chaos laughed. That was not a gourd seed. That was the super gene seed me and Bauer's dad researched. It was only half finished. It was never completed, but don't worry. Bauer has the genes of me and her father. With her genes, the ability to make a super gene seed is hers. It can be made, assuming we have enough time. When Qin Xiu makes the final step, Bauer can fight him. Aside from doing that, is there no other way? Han Sen did not want such an important responsibility to fall to Bauer. Chaos sighed. Even if there is only a 1 in 10,000 chance of pulling this off, I would rather opt to take it than let Bauer risk her life. Qin Xiu is special, but I know for sure only Bauer is capable of defeating him. After that, Chaos looked at Han Senator. She seemed to understand his will. She shook her head. There is no need to be cross. I am just saying this. After all, you should know how scary Qin Xiu is by now. You practiced the story of genes too. That was the first life of Qin Xiu, and it was made by Human Alpha. What? The story of genes was made by Qin Xiu? Han Sen's eyes opened wide. He looked at Chaos in utter disbelief. One could have squeezed an egg into his mouth. Human Alpha was very proud back in the day. He wanted to use his body to accomplish that final step, So that was why he created the story of genes. Chaos laughed and went on to say, "It is a shame that the story of genes was just a theory. It did not actually happen. No one was able to practice it. Not even Human Alpha himself. Through the aid of the Geno prototype's armor, wasn't I able to practice with the story of genes?" Han Sen asked because he was curious about it. Chaos shook her head. "The story of genes includes a line of every gene in the universe. My Geno prototype's power was able to make your body's requirement sufficient enough to practice the story of genes, but that was just at the lowest possible requirement. The story of genes still requires your own genes when it comes to making the final step. That doesn't just apply to you. Even Qin Xiu, who has the Geno prototype armor, cannot do it." "Fine. It is almost time. We must hurry up and help Bauer combine with the super gene seed. I am going to need your help." Chaos pointed at Han Sen's chest and said, "Your body has half of the super gene, so it should be able to help Bauer." "Do you mean the ultimate egg?" Han Sen was shocked. He now understood what Chaos meant. "That is not an ultimate egg," Chaos said. "It is a product of me and Bauer's father's genes. The two of our genes combined to form this super gene's half-completion with the knowledge that it could be used to suppress Human Alpha. Back in the day, it was a half-complete super gene, but there were too many flaws. There was no effective way of improving it. Using it to help Bauer evolve her own super gene seed should be fine." "Are you saying this ultimate egg is for suppressing Human Alpha?" Han Sen asked. "From what I know, the ultimate egg belonged to the Wu Wei Dao Alpha." "The Wu Wei Dao Alpha you mention is the afterlife of the Human Alpha," Chaos said with certainty. "It was the life in which the ultimate egg became free. If I have guessed correctly, after the Wu Wei Dao Alpha was reborn, Qin Xiu came into existence." Han Sen knew for sure that Human Alpha, the Wu Wei Dao Alpha, and Qin Xiu were the same person. It was kind of funny that Qin Xiu was the Wu Wei Dao Alpha, but the Qin Kingdom was a kingdom that did not support the Wu Wei Dao Palace. Chaos was not in much of a mood to explain too many things. She just went ahead to try and teach Bauer how to use the super gene seed. It was the gourd vine. In fact, only Bauer was able to use that gourd vine. When her genes grew up with the gourd vines hurried the evolution of Bauer's genes. The two of them helped out each other. They both required each other. Chaos helped Han Sen recover quickly. She then taught him a way to control the ultimate egg. She let Han Sen control the ultimate egg. When Han Sen was able to control the ultimate egg, he was able to use the ultimate egg to recharge Bauer's power. Controlling the ultimate egg was not easy. Although the ultimate egg was just a failed result of making the super genes, its power was already fairly close. Han Sen tried it many times, but he was only able to learn a bit of skill through it. Every day, he used the ultimate egg's power to rinse Bauer, hoping Bauer and the gourd would be able to evolve faster. After the fighting in the 33 skies, Qin Xiu did not show up again. The God Chaos Party's battle with the God Spirits had only just begun, and the 33 skies were to be used as a battleground. Many God Chaos Party break world beasts battled the God Spirits for a leadership position. In the 33 skies, 23 of the skies had a master. God Chaos Party had 1/3 of them, while the God Spirits managed to claim another 1/3 for themselves. The last 1/3 was taken by other powerful creatures. The Geno universe and universe of kingdoms were both in chaos. Break world beasts were everywhere. Many elites had been created. That was especially true in Space Garden. Many humans, spirits, and creatures were able to break the world. Even in the middle of that chaotic environment, humans were still able to adapt, overcome, and keep a hold of their Space Garden home. Han Sen was in Space Garden. He killed a break world beast and put a break world gene in his belly. Break world genes +1. Han Sen's break world genes tally had reached 97 or something. Recently, killing break world beasts to earn break world genes had become very difficult. Eating one break world gene was only able to increase his break world gene tally by 1. Even so, there were too many break world beasts. Han Sen's break world genes had almost managed to max out by this point. Recently, Qin Xiu had not been all that active. So, Han Sen rinsed Bauer every day before going into the Geno universe to hunt more break world beasts. Although Chaos said only Bauer was the one who could fight Qin Xiu, Han Sen did not agree with that belief. If it was possible, He did not want Bauer to be the one at risk. He did not think it was right to put so many responsibilities on one child. The story of genes, jade skin, Dongshin Sutra, Blood Pulse Sutra. While Han Sen was resting, he thought about all these skills all over again. The Geno prototype armor has a power that stems from the origin of the universe. All the gene lines are in there. No matter how strong my power is, it still comes from somewhere in the universe's base. I will not be able to break the Geno prototype's armor. So, how do I break through and gain a power that resides outside existence as we know it? Han Sen had been thinking about this issue a lot. Han Sen knew that this would not be easy. The ultimate egg was such a massive power, but it had failed to ascend and go beyond the rules. It was a failure. Qin Xiu was very strong, yet he failed to make the last step. In the end, he was going to use the Geno prototype armor to do it. Bauer had the God Chaos Party leader and the last good gene from the God Hall leader, but she still needed to combine with the Super Gene Seed to make the final step. Does this mean there is no way to use your own power for making that last step? Han Sen asked himself. When I and Warner combined, I did feel that restriction. Now, Warner is gone, but my power might not have to go through the next step. Han Sen was not someone who gave up easily. Although many people had told him Bauer was the only one able to make the final step, he did not want to give up. He did not want to wait for Bauer to solve the issue. While Han Sen was thinking, a shadow was approaching. It was the Geno Hall leader, God. You look like you are in trouble, God said with a laugh. Thank you for saving us. Han Sen knew moment God, and the others most likely joined because of him. God shook his head. I did not do that for you. I am merely saving myself. If Qin Xiu killed Bauer, then no one in this world would be able to stand against him. Han Sen looked at God and asked, including you? God seriously said, yes, including me. Is Qin Xiu really that strong? Can a reboot power stop him? Han Sen asked with a frown. Of course, the God Chaos Party leader was very strong, but she would still have to fall to the whims of the rebooting powers. Why could it not be used against Qin Xiu? It was something that confused Han Sen. Did Chaos not tell you that Qin Xiu has the genes of a reboot class God spirit? What God said surprised Han Sen. Does Qin Xiu really have a reboot class God spirit gene? Which reboot class God spirit gene does he have? Han Sen was completely shocked. He only knew 2 reboot God spirits. One of them was Bauer's father. The other was the God Hall leader, God, who was currently in front of him. If Qin Xiu had a reboot class God spirit gene, there was a 90% chance that the one Qin Xiu had was not the one currently in front of him. That seemed to leave out one of the options, which meant there was only one possibility remaining. This manner of guessing seemed to surprise Han Senator if Qin Xiu had the previous God Hall leader's genes. What could that mean? Han Sen felt as if his brain was not working right. Did Chaos not tell you about Qin Xiu? God looked surprised. She told me Qin Xiu was Human Alpha, who was also Wu Wei Dao Alpha, Han Sen said. That is correct, but Human Alpha himself is... After saying that, God stopped speaking. He looked at Han Sen and said, if Chaos did not tell you, then I should keep my mouth closed. Numerous frown lines sprung up on Han Sen's forehead. He was very frustrated and wanted to step on God's face. What are you doing here? This cannot just be a social call to check up on how I am doing. Han Sen looked at God. He sounded very displeased. We are friends. I would never be cruel to you. God smiled and said, I came looking for you because I want to know how Bauer is doing. If Qin Xiu makes his final step and controls the Geno tablet, that would be disastrous. We are going to need Bauer. What does Qin Xiu actually want? Han Sen didn't get it. He did not actually know what Qin Xiu wanted. God sighed and said, I am not a bug in his stomach, so I do not know what he is thinking. Judging from his current course of action, I would say he wants to reboot the universe. Reboot the universe? What does that have to do with him? Han Sen did not understand. Last time, the previous God Hall leader rebooted the universe by sacrificing himself. Fortunately, aside from stopping the rise of the God Chaos Party, nothing truly terrible happened. God said, ordinary universal reboots are a way to set the universe back to its origin point. It is similar to the Geno tablet being rebooted. It will not really distort space, but Qin Xiu has the Geno prototype armor. On top of that, He has reboot powers. He also has the Geno Tablet's power. Maybe he can really reverse the universe's space and have it go back to the moment Qin Xiu precisely wants. Han Sen was shocked. He seemed to understand something. So he asked, does Qin Xiu want to reverse the universe and send everything back to the point when Wanner died? Maybe. Qin Xiu's relationship with Wanner is very intimate, God said. He has real feelings for her. Aside from his feelings toward Wanner, when Qin Xiu was human alpha, a massively bad thing happened. So, I am not sure how far back he wants to take the universe. If Qin Xiu successfully reverses times, what will happen? Han Sen asked. God shook his head. I do not know. No one has ever done this before. In theory, it should not be possible because time and space have a line. If it exists, there is always a trace. Things can never go back to how they used to be. Even if we have the reboot class God Spirit reboot power, it will only make the universe return to its origin. That is not really a reversal of time and space. After pausing for a moment, God said, if this is really successful, there are two possibilities. First, when time reboots, all the time and space markings will be erased. Whatever happens after that will never have existed before. Han Sen was more interested in the second possibility. The first possibility seemed rather normal. Even he was able to guess that. The second possibility is probably much worse, God said. That is because the reversal of time and space betrays the laws of karma. It is a basic law and something that cannot be allowed. The existences that betray this causal power become erased. Han Sen did not understand. After thinking it over a few times, he suddenly developed a cold sweat. Upon seeing Han Sen's face, God understood the man before now understood what was being said. He seriously said, it is just as you thought. If the second situation happens, it will be the end of the world. Everything will be reduced to zero, and that will include you and me. Han Sen looked at God and asked, if you knew this, why did you not try and stop Qin Xiu? Do you think I did not want to? I am God. I am the master of the God Hall. But even what I do must abide by the rules. What Qin Xiu does is outside the rules. Do you understand what I am saying? God looked bitter. Is there no other way? Han Sen frowned. God looked at Han Sen seriously as he said, yes. We must make the last step and go beyond the rules. If we beat Qin Xiu, he cannot reboot the universe. I do not want Bauer to take on this much responsibility. Han Sen shook his head. I did not say we should use Bauer. I was saying we should use you. God's words surprised Han Sen. Did you not just say only Bauer can fight Qin Xiu? Han Sen looked at God with a confused expression. In theory, that is correct. From a gene perspective, only Bauer can fight Qin Xiu. There is no third creature that has great genes like that. Han Sen knew God must have had more to say. He remained silent so he could keep going. God went on to say, there is an exception to everything. Perhaps you can be one such accident. Han Sen looked at God Hall leader and asked, what are the chances of that? Up until now, I have not seen such a chance. God's answer made frown lines form on Han Sen's forehead. God smiled. He patted Han Sen on the shoulder and said, if I can find a chance, it will not be an accident. So, just give it a try. Maybe you will be lucky enough to get the 1 out of a billion chance needed. Even if you fail, it will not matter to me. You are the one who will be dead, not me. Han Sen was speechless. He felt as if God had only just gone there to make him angry. Okay, I should go. God turned around and readied himself to leave. Are you just going to sit there and wait for a result? Han Sen did not believe God was going to sit back and do nothing, putting the fate of everything in the hands of others. Me? I am going to try my luck. Maybe I will end up the lucky one. God did not look back. He smiled. His body then vanished. Han Sen was shocked. God had said it so relaxed, but Han Sen had a bad feeling about this. As he watched God leave, Han Sen looked surprised. He shook his head. It is pointless to think about these things too much. I just need to be myself more. Han Sen kept looking around for Break World beasts. He wanted his Break World tally to reach 100 to see if his Super God Spirit mode might exhibit positive changes. After killing a few Break World beasts, Han Sen thought his Break World gene tally would hit 100. The results made him wonder. When his break world gene number reached 99, he consumed 2 more break world genes. They did not, however, increase his break world gene tally. Is it because the break world rate of these break world genes is not high enough? Does the final break world gene just require more juice? Han Sen did not know, so he had to continue his search for break world beasts. He swallowed a few more break world genes, but the results were the same every time. He did not get any more break world genes. Han Sen had been thinking about whether or not he should give up hunting break world beasts. When he killed the next break world beast, he heard a familiar sound after he swallowed the break world gene. Break world gene +1. Han Sen was happy. Before he had any other ideas, he heard another sound. Evolution requirement reached. Super God Spirit Mode is evolving. In the next second, Han Sen's Super God Spirit Mode started. He turned into a spirit body. This time, his Super God Spirit body was different. Aside from his Super God Spirit body, the 4 Geno Arts started running. Han Sen felt the power of the 4 Geno Arts start changing. The break world rate was increasing, and his body was changing. These effects were affecting his Super God Spirit body. In the past, the Super God Spirit body did its own thing. It would not combine with other powers. It would not be affected by other powers. This time, the Super God Spirit body felt as if it was infected. The Spirit Body's mode exhibited tangible changes. Blood Pulse Sutra was there, and it made the blood of the Super God Spirit body solid. It was no longer just an empty spirit body. Wherever Jade Skin's power reached, it made iced jade-like skin appear. Wherever the Dongxian Sutra reached, every inch of the soul-like body seemed to change. The story of Jin's power made the spirit body become closer to being a body. Han Sen felt his body become incredibly itchy. It was like a wound that had scabbed over with the production of new flesh. It did not hurt, but it felt rather awful. It made him really want to scratch himself all over. Han Sen knew he could not scratch things right now. If he tried to do anything, he would only end up interfering with the evolution process of his body. He had to resist the urges he had. His entire body felt as if countless bugs were crawling all over. His body was growing flesh. Even his bones were visible. If someone saw Han Sen's face right now, they would have been given a shock. Han Sen was half human and half spirit. He looked extremely weird. He looked like a demon from hell. Time went by. The Super God Spirit Body's spirit body returned to the shape of an ordinary human. It looked quite normal. Han Sen still knew that he was in Super God Spirit mode. He never left that mode. Compared to before, Han Sen felt freer than ever. When he used his Super God Spirit body, it led to many burdens blistering his body. Now, those feelings were gone. It was like this was always how his body was supposed to be. When his body finished evolving, Han Sen's body felt relaxed. He felt as if something was different with his body even though there were no differences. He looked at his information. Han Sen, Super God Body none. Lifespan, 3,246 years. Han Sen was frozen. Humans from the sanctuaries all had Super God bodies, but his Super God body was a Super God Spirit body. Right after he evolved, his Super God body had become nothing. Han Sen tried using his powers, but he noticed his body was unable to use his Super God body anymore. Gosh, this is all just so strange. I mean, how is this possible? Why is my body totally out of whack now? It's starting to make me think that the further I take my body, and the more I evolve, the further back I go. Have I just gone so far past the limit that I've looped to start over again? Han Sen was confused. Han Sen tried casting his Geno Arts, but his face looked terrible. He felt as if his body had become a real, average body. He was so slow that he could not feel his body moving. What is going on? Han Sen was shocked. He cast a few more Geno Arts, but it was exactly the same. No matter what Geno Art he used, his body had no feeling. It felt as if his body was just a stone that did not work. Han Sen walked back to Space Garden. His body did not move fast. He was like a normal person. He was not faster than any average person. When he ran, he did not feel tired. He ran all the way back to base without blushing. He was not winded, and he did not gasp. All in all, he did not feel tired. Mr. White, help me have a look at what happened to my body. Han Sen sought out Mr. White. Mr. White looked at Han Sen and weirdly said, "Judging from the state of your body, I would say you are fine. What is wrong with you?" "I cannot feel my powers anymore." Han Sen told Mr. White about what had happened. Mr. White had Han Sen lie down. He inspected Han Sen's body and told him that his body was fine. There was no problem with it. "If there aren't any problems, then why can I not feel my powers?" Han Sen was very depressed. He was like a wizard that did not have an element. He could not use his superpowers. It felt terrible. Mr. White thought about it for a moment and told Han Sen, "Let me think about this some more. Let me think about this before I give you an answer. You go to Han Yufei and let her do a complete body check for you." Han Sen had no other options, so he did just that. He went to see Han Yufei. Han Yufei listened to Han Sen's entire tale, including Mr. White's hypothesis. It made her eyes turn bright. She dragged Han Sen to the laboratory. Han Sen's heart jumped. He felt bad. He looked at Han Yufei's face. It looked as if he was now about to go through all sorts of weird torture. "I do not want a checkup." Han Sen turned around with the desire of leaving. "Do not be afraid. I will be nice to you." Han Yufei put on the white lab gloves. She smiled at Han Sen and dragged him into the lab. Normally, Han Sen could have easily teleported away without Han Yufei being able to catch him. On this day, he could not feel his powers. He was like an average person. He could not escape. He was immediately dragged into the lab by Han Yufei. Weird. Han Yufei examined Han Sen in various ways. After a while, her eyes seemed brighter. She was holding a laptop, continuously reading the statistics that appeared on the screen. Han Sen emerged from the test chamber and asked Han Yufei, "Do you mind telling me what you found that is so weird?" Han Yufei's discovery was not as scary or concerning as Han Sen thought. She had only been doing ordinary tests. Mostly, she had just taken samples from his body and blood. Han Yufei looked at the test results and said, "Your body is fine. There does not seem to be any issues. If it is fine, why am I no longer able to feel my powers?" Han Sen asked with a frown. Han Yufei raised her head. She looked at Han Sen's body with interest. "That is the problem. Everything about your body is normal. It is too normal. Therein lies the problem. Can you try saying something I might understand?" Han Sen had a wry smile. "How about this? Your body is like a human from the Geno universe who has only just arrived here. The fitness level and data are all at a very basic, average standard. According to this standard, you are at the lowest tier a creature of the universe can be. Any creature that practices will be stronger than you." After that, Han Yufei put her hand on Han Sen's head and squeezed his cheeks. As she did this, she said, "I have performed a few simple pressure tests on your body. The results of the pressure tests tell me your body is normal too. There were no changes. All of the tests indicate no change. If I did not double-check the machine and realize there weren't any problems, I would think the machine was broken and all the data and test results were nonsense. Take a look at yourself, document. You are some freaky scientist surrounded by test tubes and laptops displaying nonsensical data all day. While I feel thrilled, perhaps almost privileged, you think so highly of my intelligence that I can keep up with the gibberish you consistently spout like a cliché. I have to confess and admit that I do not have a clue about what you are saying. So how about slowing it down a bit and explaining things a bit better? What does all this mean?" Han Sen did not understand this. Han Yufei touched Han Sen's chest muscles. With eyes that looked like they were on fire, she said, "Well, the average temperature of a human is around 98.6. According to the environmental temperatures, your body adjusts. Everyone can adjust, but there is a limit to how far one's body can adjust. If your temperature swings too far, your body could end up shutting down. You'll be in a very bad state. You, however, maintain your temperature. No matter how bad the conditions are, your state remains. That is very shocking. We need to conduct some stronger pressure tests to confirm how far your level is," Han Yufei said. "After that, we can make judgments." Han Sen's eyes looked bright. "Are you saying my body is not affected by environmental factors? Does that mean no power can harm me?" Han Yufei shook her head. "According to my theory, yes. Judging from the data collected via my tests, it is not like the theory suggests. Sometimes, your body is very stable. At other times, it is too normal. With your test results, if a break world beast tries to chop you up, Your body should not be harmed. But when I use a needle to pierce through your skin and your private part, that goes right against the theory. Is it just my body in a state of adjustment? Han Sen asked. Han Yufei replied, that is possible, but I cannot be entirely certain. The maximum and minimum yield too much of a difference. Usually, there should not be a big gap. After that, Han Yufei pulled Han Sen into another lab. She walked and said, I need more data to be more accurate with this stuff. Let's just continue our tests. Han Sen wanted to reject her, but Han Yufei did not care. She dragged him into the lab. Han Sen was thrust into a test chamber. He saw many mechanical arms come toward his body. They were all clutching all sorts of tools and needles. Han Yufei, are you going to cut me open for your research? Seeing so many machines, Han Sen's head felt an itch. Do not worry. Living test subjects are always better than dead test subjects, Han Yufei coldly said. She then operated the machines and had them come even closer to Han Sen's body. Han Sen felt a needle prod into his skin. He felt as if there was even more than one. The pain was not severe, but it still made him feel rather depressed. Suddenly, Han Sen had a flare of goosebumps develop. His body started to tighten. He suddenly exploded with a strange sort of power that blasted all the machinery and mechanical gizmos away. The entire test chamber exploded. All the fluids and pieces of stuff pinged away everywhere. Han Yufei, are you trying to do a test or trick me? Han Sen stared at Han Yufei. He felt a needle go into the important part of a male body. His body reacted, and that had the power explode to destroy everything. Han Yufei put down the umbrella she had used to shield herself from the mess. She pointed to all the bits and pieces on the floor as she said, if I did not give you some excitement, how was I supposed to tell whether or not your body had a problem? Now that you are fine, we can prove your power is still inside you. You just have a problem feeling it is there. Han Sen was shocked. He looked at the machine pieces, bent needles, and drills. He then looked at his body. Earlier, he was only just complaining. He did not think much. His body should not have been able to unleash that much power on a whim. Whatever happened earlier resulted in the release of some power that was beyond what his body should have been able to do. He wanted to feel it again, but he could not feel the power anymore. Weird. What is wrong with my body? Am I only allowed to have this power when I feel something exciting? This is so weird. It is like some legendary sort of body type. Han Sen glumly looked at his body. It is simple enough to know the answers, Han Yufei said. We must continue testing. Cough, cough. Maybe next time. For now, I am busy. I will come back later. Upon imaging his private parts hurting, Han Sen immediately refused Han Yufei. No matter what she said to him, he did not want to do any more tests with her. So he put his clothes on and left. Although the pain had not been too bad for Han Sen, it did not feel great either. If I just need excitement, I can just conduct my own tests. I do not need that devil. Han Sen ran away from the lab because he was afraid of the mad scientist, Han Yufei. Seeing Han Sen escape, Han Yufei did not plan on pursuing him. She opened her palm and held a broken needle. The contents in the needle made Han Yufei's lips develop a weird smile. After Han Sen left the lab, he went straight to Zero. He thought, wanting excitement is easy. I should just ask Zero to chop me a few times.